The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
A dark horse candidate has emerged for the New York Jets, according to one of the most respected Jets analysts out there. Who's the guy, and can it happen? We'll talk about that and more. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started. Man, our Jets are primed for a historic season. We bleed Jets green each and every day. This is not the same old Jets. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers. We have Garrett Wilson. Let's go. We have Brees Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. The Jets bandwagon is loaded. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody. Before we get started, click that like button and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Now, a lot to talk about. We will get to your calls. We will get to your super chats, but I want to make sure everyone is aware that yesterday we did our 10th ever Asmaniac raffle on the show. Congrats to the 5 winners. Now, moving forward, every membership gifted and every $20 super chat or more gets you in for our next raffle, where the grand prize is a New York Jets full-sized helmet for you to put in the man cave, for you to display anywhere in your home. That and a bunch of other prizes, including some Joe Willie Namath throwback rookie card. This is from 1965. It is so old that the details on the back include stats about the Iron Bowl for Joe Willie. They have nothing to do with his pro career because that hadn't started yet. So that, plus merch items, Gus Buster umbrella, and more for our next raffle. So make sure you gift memberships or become a member yourself if you want in on the raffle. Here's what we know about the Jets' search for a GM and coach. It's continuing today. Jets will interview Mike Borgonzi and Matt Nagy today, among other names, for their respective GM and coach openings. They could speak to Borgonzi in person down in South Florida, where all these interviews are happening. Nagy is someone they could speak to over Zoom. This is going to be a process that is going to take time. Yes, they spoke with Rex Ryan. Yes, they spoke with Thomas Dimitroff. Yes, they've spoken with Ron Rivera. They've spoken with a bunch of names thus far. But this is a process that's going to take time because the Jets can't even speak to Aaron Glenn, Brian Flores, in person until January 20th. The NFL has new rules that are going to delay any team from hiring a head coach and general manager. It's going to take time because the Jets are going to request candidates they already have that are with teams right now that are in the playoffs. And there's rules put in to slow down the process. I don't believe we get a coach and GM for the Jets until probably the end of January, if not very early on in February. Because there's a chance that if they want Flores or they want Glenn, for example, or a guy we're going to talk about coming up here, Josh McCown, they're going to have to wait till after the Super Bowl to make it official. So don't expect anything soon. It is going to take some time. The NFL has put in new rules over the last 2 seasons to slow down the process so there's more candidates that get a chance to potentially be head coaches. A lot of times teams wouldn't want to wait until after the Super Bowl for someone. They wanted to get going on their offseason. So the NFL stepped in a few years ago and has implemented new rules, including in 2022, making the Rooney Rule 2 minority candidates that you must meet with in person for both GM and coach. And as of right now, the New York Jets have not met the Rooney Rule requirements for either. They have spoken with one minority GM candidate, and they have spoken with one minority head coaching candidate. The GM candidate was Louis Riddick, who's on ESPN, and the minority head coaching candidate is Ron Rivera. So it's going to take time. So anyone thinking that this is just going to happen tomorrow, not so fast. Now, There's a dark horse candidate that could be emerging. His name is Josh McCown. This was Connor Rodgers, who you watch on SNY, Jets pre- and post-game analyst, on his podcast Badlands, making the case for Josh McCown to be a very serious option for the New York Jets.
But I want to talk about the third candidate that I think is at least interesting for this job, and I think has a better chance than everybody's kind of glossing over him because they tie him to Flores. I think Josh McCown is a real player for this job.
Ooh, McCown Town, baby.
And this is me drawing some conclusions and going off history. When McCown was with the Jets organization, he was loved in the building.
Beloved.
And not the
Absolutely
kind of
beloved.
not just kind of beloved by his teammates, but from ownership down. When McCown was with the Jets organization, he was loved in the building.
Beloved.
And not the
Absolutely
kind of
beloved.
not just kind of beloved by his teammates, but from ownership down. People felt like he was the kind of presence in an organization that they did not have a lot of over the last couple of years, and that he was perfect for young players. He was great for coaches. He was very easy to talk to from ownership, and just an overall guy that kept the room almost what we always say about Morgan Moses, but you're an offensive tackle. Like, that reach only extends so far. When you're a quarterback, it does illuminate throughout the entire organization. And that's how McCown's kind of presence was. So what we know, right? You just do the what we know. What we know is there's a lot of, people at the top of the Jets organization that think highly of him. What we also know with McCown is people around the NFL have thought he's going to be a head coach for a long time. They just didn't know when. There was obviously the whole Texans thing a couple years ago. He kind of caught a stroke of bad luck when he was with that Panthers staff. That was a disaster that I don't think that was really his fault, but everybody had to be let go because the head coaching was such a mess over there. And it's almost like he got driven off he got totally driven off the lot. And then you put him on the Minnesota Vikings lot and everyone's like, ooh, Josh McCown. Like, he's been a big voice for Sam Darnold this year. And he has. He's been a big part of this growth for Sam. That relationship goes all the way back to the New York Jets. That is a serious relationship. He is the perfect quarterbacks coach of that organization. Now he's at a year to watch Kevin O'Connell, one of the best offensive minds in the game, call his offense. I'm not saying McCown is the most qualified guy to be head coach, because I know everybody listening to this is going offensive coordinator only. And I get that. In a dream world, I think what we're down to, Flores as the head coach, McCown as his offensive coordinator. I don't know if that would be a lock if you hire Flores. Like, who's to say McCown's like, you know what, we're going to be really good in Minnesota for a while. My stock's only going up. I might be able to jump to a spot as a head coach in the next year as just an offensive staff member, because he's going to be a phenomenal interviewer. Like, he's just somebody that so you argue with McCown, right? Like, the argument for McCown is he knows the most important position in the game, a position the Jets haven't gotten right in a million years. And that if you're going to be developing the one of the long-term goals of this new regime is to get a franchise quarterback. Well, if the head coach is Josh McCown, like, you feel good that you have the right development track for him. So that's number one. Number two, he could lead. Everybody follows Josh McCown. Everybody loves Josh McCown. He's already been a darling with the media here, with ownership here, and with the players in the locker room, which is the most important part. What you don't know, I want to be fair here and balanced. I have no idea if he can call plays, right? He doesn't do that. I have no idea. That's not just because you play quarterback doesn't mean you can call plays. It means you probably have a better chance of being good at it, but it doesn't mean you can do it. So that's a big variable. And then number two, we don't know what McCown's staff would look like. What kind of pull does he have? We don't know. Flores has been a head coach before, and Flores is working with a lot of good people in Minnesota, Josh McCown included. So I'm not saying he's more qualified than Aaron Glenn or Brian Flores. That's not what I'm saying. But if you sit in the room, right, if you're the Jets and you go, okay, we like Flores, we like Glenn, we really like Josh McCown. And we think Josh McCown is a year away from being a head coach. If you think that and you want an offensive guy for your future quarterback, you just hire him. Like that, if it's a year early, well, then what if 2 years from now you're like, shit, we should have just hired Josh McCown a year early. Now that team got, how many people probably went through this conversation with a lot of the great offensive coaches around the league? So I understand people listening to this going like, how could you do that? There's so many unknowns. And I get that. But I put aside Glenn and Flores, who are higher than him. And I want to emphasize that over and over again. They are more qualified. There are so many reasons why. But after that, if my choices are Vance Joseph, Arthur Smith, Rex Ryan, Ron Rivera, Darren Rizzi, Bobby Sloak, who had an awful year in Houston, awful year.
What are we doing here?
Wouldn't I rather swing for the upside with McCown, where there actually is a floor? Because when shit hits the fan, McCown's actually the type of presence that can level things out. We don't know if his offense will be all it needs to be. We don't know what the staff will look like, and they do before making that hire. But I want to know your thought. I think he is the dark horse of this long, long list. Once we stop having the constant and very fair and deserving Flores and Glenn conversation.
So what do you think of that, Jet fans? What do you think of that, Asmaniacs? I'll tell you what. I like Josh McCown a lot. I've met him before. I've interviewed him before. I was in Houston when he was a player at the end of his career and then walked off the field and immediately got an interview to be the head coach of the team and almost got the job if there was not pressure, I believe, from outside forces to not hire a white guy with no coaching experience when Brian Flores interviewed for the same job and then was going to sue the Texans and the league for discrimination. Right? I like Josh McCown. I just don't know if I would choose him over Aaron Glenn or Brian Flores. You guys know I want experience. My number one guy remains Mike Rabel, but Connor makes a compelling case. He does. If you think Josh McCown's a head coach in a year from now, if you're the Jets, you just hire him now. You know him. Brian Costello said recently on his podcast that in 2018, the Jets contemplated firing Todd Bowles midseason. And Josh McCown was one of the names they batted around as a coach for the team. He was still a player at that time. He was the backup to Sam in 2018. But they thought about making McCown the interim head coach because of how revered he was in the building. The guy clearly can lead. And I also could tell you this, because I went back and checked. I interviewed Mike Tannenbaum, who at the time was an agent for a lot of prominent coaches around the league, including Dan Quinn. We had Mike Tannenbaum on my Houston show when the Texans thought about potentially hiring McCown right off the field with no experience. And Tannenbaum represented Steve Kerr when Steve Kerr left the broadcast table and became a head coach with no previous coaching experiences. So Tannenbaum represented Steve Kerr, future Hall of Fame basketball coach, represented Dan Quinn as agents. We had Tannenbaum on, and he didn't dismiss the idea of McCown being a good fit for the Texans at the time because of the fact he saw it work with his client, Steve Kerr. We know Mike Tannenbaum is intimately involved in the search. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I also don't think it's crazy. If they can't get Flores for whatever reason, if Aaron Glenn takes the Saints job or doesn't take the Jet job, and they don't want to go back to Rex Ryan, maybe Josh McCown would have a legit chance. You would need to know what his staff would look like, but couldn't Josh McCown be the next Kevin O'Connell? Right? We're seeing a lot of success in the NFL right now with guys who played in the league then becoming head coaches. That's like a new trend. Kevin O'Connell's an example of that. We're seeing Dan Campbell be like the best example of that, right? So we're starting to see a trend of guys who played in the league then becoming coaches. So it's an option. Would you take McCown over Rex? I don't know if I would. I think the best case scenario for me is still Josh McCown as the offensive coordinator with a guy like Brian Flores as the head coach because I want previous experience. I think Brian Flores has learned a lot from what happened in Miami. I think he's had a year under Tomlin. He's had now 2 years under KOC. So I know Ryan Fitzpatrick made some comments about how it ended poorly in Miami. Sure, but the guy won. And also, what Ryan Fitzpatrick says to me is not gospel. And also, if we need a reference on Brian Flores, I'll call Mike Tomlin if I'm the Jets. I'll call Kevin O'Connell if I'm the Jets, who Tannenbaum has an intimate relationship with because he was on the Jets and they cut him on Hard Knocks. If you remember, the Jets really liked Kevin O'Connell as a player way back. So I still believe if they can't get Rabel, Brian Flores is up there. If we're going to do the first time thing, obviously, even though he's a defensive background guy, Aaron Glenn, because of the leadership stuff, that has to be on the table. But I do believe if we're picking between McCown or Vance Joseph, if we're picking between McCown or Brian Greasy, if we're picking between McCown or Arthur Smith or Matt Nagy, I think I would probably go with McCown. I do. At least you're trying to swing for the fence, as Connor Rodgers said. I agree with that. At least you're trying to find the next McVay, Shanahan, Kevin O'Connell type. Former player at the quarterback spot, leadership off the charts, highly respected, ownership trusts him. He would need to hire a seasoned veteran staff, but has anyone seen Josh McCown's resume? He's basically played for every coach and every team in the league ever. Ever. So I'm sure he has contacts all around the league that he could pull potential coaching options for. Maybe he'd bring Frank Reich as one of his assistant head coaches. Frank Reich gave him a start as a coach with the Panthers in 2023. And by the way, I think Josh McCown could evaluate quarterbacks because you know who Josh McCown wanted the Panthers to take with that number 1 pick they traded up for? Not Bryce Young. He wanted Stroud. And the owner overruled his decision there. And Frank Reich's decision there. But you look at the resume, he's played for the Cardinals, Lions, Raiders, Dolphins, Panthers, Hartford Colonials, Niners, Bears, Buccaneers, Browns, Jets, Eagles, Texans, coach for the Panthers, now the Vikings. That's more than half the league. I'll take Josh McCown over some of the other has-beens and some of the other retreads and some of the other, like, just unknown names. So, not my number 1, not my number 2, still value experience. But Josh McCown, to me, is more of a serious candidate than people realize. I agree with Connor because I just know Mike Tannenbaum didn't think it was crazy 4 years ago when I was talking to him about it on the radio down in Houston when the Texans almost did the same thing. They were going to hire Josh McCown, and I truly believe outside forces forced them to pivot, and then they just promoted Lovie Smith from defensive coordinator to head coach for another year. Made him the sacrificial lamb after that season, fired him. They draft C.J. Stroud. The rest is history. They're in the playoffs for the second year in a row. Like, that's how close it was to McCown going from player to head coach immediately. It would depend on his staff. But if the Jets can't get Flores, if they can't get Glenn, you know, I'll roll the dice on McCown over Arthur Smith or Matt Nagy. Now, I will say this, though. If you're going to hire an inexperienced head coach, doesn't your GM need to have experience? Like, you got to have some people that know what the heck they're doing in these positions. You just do. Jay writes in, Josh McCown was Jim Harbaugh before Jim Harbaugh. I mean, it's not a bad comp. Jim Harbaugh, another former player, tremendous success. M. Morris says, better than bringing back Rex. I don't know about that. It would depend on Rex's staff, but I don't know if Rex knows his coaching staff, which is a problem. I was very disappointed with that answer that he gave on our morning show on ESPN New York on Monday. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Fiore checks in with a $10 super chat. If it shakes out like Vrabel to the Pats, Glenn to the Saints, Flores to the Bears or Raiders, I'd rather McCown than anyone on their list. Gruden, Monken, and Cliff would be higher for me. Will fans be patient, though? The fact that they have not put in a request for Gruden, Monken, or Cliff, I don't get it. Maybe they know Cliff wouldn't take their interview, right? Will Parkinson referenced that yesterday, but really? I would be interviewing all three of those guys, especially Gruden. Gruden wants back in. Give Gruden a chance, man. Vincent with a super chat. Nagy had a winning record in Chicago, which might be as bad of an organization as the Jets, and has had time to process in KC. Why are you down on him? I just don't think he's a great coach. I don't know. Bears fans swear he's terrible. So that's not the end all be all. The resume, as you point out, is better than the perception of him. But I don't care if he's back with Kansas City. I mean, great. You're with Andy Reid and the best quarterback in the league in Mahomes. That doesn't do it for me. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Comments, questions, super chats, always cut the line. We are seeking more channel memberships. Our next grand prize, a full-size, that's right, we're spending big money here, baby. A full-sized New York Jets helmet that I will mail to you if you win our grand prize in raffle number 11. Let's go. ISO says, Matt Nagy's horrible. I'm a Chiefs fan. Please take him. I just think a lot of the success Nagy did have in Chicago, look at the defense they had. Crazy. JoJo says, like Connor said, the organization loved McCown when he played here. They did. They almost made him interim head coach, according to Costello. Leon writes in, I would love a good cop, bad cop element of Flores and McCown. Just don't know that Flores and Josh have a relationship. Well, they're on the same staff, so you have to imagine there's some sort of relationship there. Now, they could not like each other. We have no idea, but connecting the dots, it would make sense. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button if you are just tuning in. A lot of people want in on the conversation, which is understandable. We do know what happened yesterday. The New York Jets sat down with a guy who knows a thing or two about being sexy.
Oh, yeah. You know what time it is. You tried to throw him away, but this man's coming back. Sometimes he's fat or thin. That waistband makes him slim. He's got the fix you need. They call him sexy. Rexy.
Fuck Gruden, he's no Jet. I'm here to crack some skulls. I'll turn these boys to men. This team is stacked with pros. Hire me, you won't break your purse. I'm here to break the curse. They call me sexy. Rexy. Fuck all you naysayers.
Ooh, sexy. Ooh, he's sexy, Rexy. Sexy. He's sexy, Rexy. Sexy. He's sexy, Rexy. Sexy. He's sexy, Rexy.
Yeah. Speaking of sexy, you see the shirt I'm wearing? Shout out to Roan for sending me their brand new NBA themed commuter shirts. Roan is now the official dress shirt of the NBA. We love Roan on this channel. I wear their clothing all the time. Their polos, their blazers, their dress pants. Roan is awesome. They've been a long time sponsor of the channel. Right now, you can go to their website, roan.com, and use promo code Asman, and you'll save 20%. Look at this shirt. Are you kidding me? I wore it on Christmas Day when I went to the Knicks Spurs game. I'm going to the Garden tonight, so I'll be watching the Knicks take on RJ Barrett and the Raptors as the Knicks need to end their 3-game losing streak and get back on track. I'm not worried, but they do got to start winning some games here. Let's right the ship. Long season. And shout out to Roan, man. Look at the shirt. They have every NBA team, but I'd imagine most of you are Knicks fans tuned in right now, besides Gary, who is one of 7 Net fans out there, but they do have Brooklyn Nets Roan shirts as well. So check it out. Roan's got everything you need. Roan.com. Promo code Asman. I'll save you 20% with that code. Get their commuter shirt, NBA theme shirts right now. Once again, shout out to Roan for sponsoring today's video. Comments, questions, super chats will, in fact, cut the line. Gusbuster hotline is open. Let's say hello right now to Doug on the couch. Hello, Doug.
How you doing, Jake? I got a new couch.
Oh, it looks tremendous, Doug. Go jump on it right now, you fraud.
I have multiple couches in different places. Like I said it yesterday with Will, I'm on the Brian Flores train. I would expect soon after, if the Vikings lose Monday night, I would expect soon after to maybe hear of Flores hiring of wherever he goes, because I know with the Lions guys you have to wait. So, but is it the same with GMs? So, like with the Chiefs assistant GM, do you have to wait to hire him until the Chiefs are done, or could you hire him whenever?
So you got to wait to hire him until they're done. However, you could talk to him in person because they have the bye. So they're doing the Borgonzi interview today. I believe he's coming in person because he's allowed to. Now Nagy, because he's a coach, there's different rules. He can only talk to them over Zoom. They can't even talk to Brian Flores yet. They can't even talk to Aaron Glenn yet. They can't.
That's why I think like you're gonna get like me, like say the interview with Borgonzi goes incredible today. They get like a handshake agreement just in place. I think you're going to see a Flores deal happen soon after the Vikings lose. I just get the vibe it's going to be Flores and McCown. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but that's the vibe I've been getting.
Then who's the GM? Do you think Borgonzi would want to hire Brian Flores?
Why not?
Well, is there a relationship there that I'm missing?
No, I just think maybe wants a guy who wants to be like a head coach. He wants a guy with past head coach experience, guy who's respected around the league. I know people think Brian Flores is some asshole and everyone hates him, but that's probably not the case. And he is respected around the league, I would assume. So I think it's going to be either Flores and McCown combo or the Aaron Glenn hire. Because we all know what the BS the Patriots pulled off yesterday, they're just going to hire Vrabel. But also, it's crazy that they're not like taking the time to actually interview guys like Ben Johnson, Brian, all these guys are not doing a full head coaching search and just saying, you know what, Vrabel's our guy.
Yep.
We're done.
Well, what the Patriots did yesterday, Doug, good call to start us off here, is despicable. Let's call it for what it is. They are circumventing the Rooney Rule, the likes of which I can't remember a team doing this. I mean, it is so ridiculous what they did. They put the two black token candidates they interviewed to fulfill the rule yesterday on the same graphic. Think about how ridiculous that is. Imagine Woody Johnson did this, what people would be saying. It'd be the biggest story in sports right now. They fire their coach after he wins, oh, by the way, with a dog crap roster where he was set up to fail. And look, Gerard Mayo was probably a bad coach. I'm not saying that they couldn't fire him. But you fire the guy, and then you immediately on the same day bring in the two token minority candidates and put them on the same graphic. I mean, give me a break. What a joke. What a joke. Are you kidding me? How do you put them on the same graphic? And no one says a thing in the media. Where's Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport using their platform to cover this? It's a huge story. Throw the two black guys on the same graphic. Oh, we're compliant with the Rooney Rule. They probably had to pay these guys to take the interview. Pep Hamilton was a failed offensive coordinator with the Texans. That was his last major job. I was in Houston for that. Byron Leftwich, are you kidding me? He hasn't been a candidate in years. Look, you should be allowed to hire whoever you want, but like to be so blatant about it, it's just ridiculous. But no one says shit because it's New England. Let's call it for what it is. Put them on the same graphic. I mean, what the hell is that, man? That's ridiculous. Super chats, cut the line. Here for the meme says, I just hope we hire a GM before a coach this time. Well, when have the Jets hired a coach and then GM first? I mean, that doesn't typically happen. Now, McCagnon got fired and Gaston, I guess, handpicked Joe Douglas, but then after that, Joe Douglas hired Sauer. Like the Jets are going to hire the GM first and then the coach, unless I think it's Vrabel, but I don't think Vrabel's going to come here. It doesn't feel like it. I'm not saying it's impossible. I guess New England could still speak with Ben Johnson and fall in love and offer him the job. He might take it because of the young quarterback there, and then Vrabel's like, really? Like, contrary to what Bang Mateo writes in that I bookmarked earlier, I don't think the Raiders are a more attractive job than the Jets. They're in the AFC West. They don't have a path to a quarterback, and their roster is not that talented. So while Bang Mateo wants to just be the most negative person ever, and I get it, being a Jet fan hasn't exactly been great for the last 14 years, do you really believe the Raider job is that much more attractive, if at all, than the Jet job? I wouldn't want to go to the AFC West and deal with Mahomes every year, and Herbert now with Harbaugh, and Sean Payton and Bo Nix, who have figured it out. I wouldn't want to deal with that. But Bang Mateo has all the answers.
I'm not saying you're not mentally ill. For all I know, you're crazy as a loon.
Just saying. M. Morris with a super chat. Thanks for the membership, whoever gifted. Still can't get the option on my iPhone. Get Gruden in for an interview. I agree. If you want to gift the membership, though, M. Morris, do it from the laptop or computer. Maybe the iPad, I've been told it might work as well. So if you want it on the raffle, that is the way to do it. No one's gifted a membership yet. When you do, we'll shout you out. Plus, you're in it to win it. The full-size Jet helmet, which we will send to you. Let's go, baby. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll continue to cut the line. Let's review some of the names that have been requested or haven't been requested. And to do that, let's first check in with our coaching expert, Peter Castro.
We got to get rid of Yolbrick and then go after Gabriel first. Then I want Queensberry. Got to look at the monkey guy. I like Flonase. And maybe Slow Dick in Houston is the answer.
Okay, so of those names, we know they've gotten rid of Yolbrick. We know they have requested Slow Dick. They have requested Flonase. They have spoken in person already with Gabriel. But it doesn't sound like the monkey guy or Queensberry are getting interviews, at least not to this point. That's No Ghost has gifted a membership. Vincent has gifted a membership. 2 people are in for the raffle.
It's the Asmaniac membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive 1 ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
Yeah, baby. Woohoo. All right. Super chat from Bang Mateo. Ben Johnson agrees and will interview with Las Vegas, not us. Well, the Jets didn't request Ben Johnson. Maybe they knew he wouldn't take the job. I mean, maybe Ben Johnson just wants to sit down and go out to Vegas. Or maybe he'll do it over Zoom just to feel it out. I don't know if that means anything, Bang. D-Rob, Kingsbury would be a good fit for us. I'd talk to him. Why not? Previous head coaching experience. Learn now under Dan Quinn. Give him a chance. Mother effing Chew is in on the membership gifting, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, hit it.
Choo choo, mother effing choo.
I said, hit it. There it is. More of your calls right now. Let's say hello to Tristan, who's on the line. Tristan. Hello, Tristan.
What's up, Jake?
You getting your steps in?
Jump ropes and stuff like that.
You look very tiny with this camera shot. Like you look very miniature.
Yeah, I'm always like this. Everybody's like, can you go play guard for the Jets and stuff like that? They always kill me. But I like the Josh McCown thing. I think I just want to throw this out there. Like, what do you think the possibility is if they hire him that he could just be another yes man just because he's so nice? I think having the Brian Flores buffer with could be something good. The other thing that I would prefer McCown be a head coach, to be honest with you, because you look at the success that former backup quarterbacks have in the league, and it's really, really good. And you're looking at McVay. You're looking at did McVay play?
He played in college. He didn't play in the NFL.
I might be wrong. Right. You're looking at O'Connell, which every Jet fan looks at O'Connell and the success he's having in the Vikings, and it's like, dang, that kind of sucks. So I mean, former quarterbacks in general, let's just say that, have a high success rate in the NFL. And I wouldn't mind us giving that chance to McCown. I'm just worried about that buffer between him and Woody.
Yeah. Look, I do know this. Woody wasn't really around when McCown was with the Jets, Tristan. We'll let you get your workout in there, jump the ropes, the whole thing. It was more Christopher Johnson then. But, yeah, I mean, that's the concern, right? If you hire a first-timer who's never done it, is he going to be pushed around? I don't know. I do know that people love McCown, love his leadership. He's interviewed for a head coaching job previously, right off the field as a player, and the Texans were getting destroyed for it. But now, in hindsight, it's maybe not the worst idea. Maybe that's aged a lot better given the fact that he's a hot name now. He has never called plays before. We don't know how he'd be at that. We don't know how he'd be as a head coach. It'd be a risk. But would you want to roll the dice on him over a retread? I think many would, right? Now, let me be clear. As much as I am anti-Aaron Glenn, just because I don't want a first-time coach, I prefer someone with experience. I'm going to be real and say I probably would rather have Aaron Glenn than McCown, because despite lack of head coaching experience. Aaron Glenn has more just coaching experience in general. You know, Brian Flores, I still think would be my top dog if they can't get Vrabel. So, but I'm not as anti this as some of the other names because I do see what they would be trying to do with McCown. I get it. Not my number one choice, but I understand it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to more of your calls right now. Let's find out if the Jets' idea of maybe hiring Josh McCown would be a bullseye.
I got my Iron UG. I hope you like my Jets take. You know they call me David T. It's not easy for me to see, but if you bring me full stream, you might like what I had to say. I'll need to get real damn close, cause my vision is dog shit. Hi, Jake.
David, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. New York Knicks at the world's most famous arena. Doesn't get any better than that.
You know, I would agree with you until January started, and the Knicks have struggled a little bit these last couple. But they'll be all right. Long season.
Yeah, little bump in the road. Yep, long season. That's how the NBA is. But I'm like the beast. I'm not. This isn't Jerry Springer. I'm here to talk about the Jets.
I love it. Amen. Amen, David. We love the beast.
yeah. You know what? I'm really. I mean, I didn't know what to make of him at first, but I'm really warming up to him now. I think you have a star on your hands there. But the McCown thing, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't this create an interesting problem? Because I'm still on board with you as far as, an experience, a coach coming in, because they have the talent and I think you believe that, they bring the right GM and coach in and they can win right away, But McCown, I mean, you know him, he's been around the league, and like you said, he's probably played for every coach, and he has connections and all that stuff. And if they would take a chance on him, I guess he would have to bring in, experienced coaches, to help him out. But I look at it as a pleasant problem. I think the Jets are going through the proper process. I'm at a point where I'm very patient. I realize, like you just said, that we might not have a coach till, even after the Super Bowl. But I'm feeling pretty good about things,
Well, look, ultimately, the process I like, talk to as many people as possible, but I am curious about some of the names they haven't requested. Like, I don't know why they're not going to have the conversation with Gruden, not going to have the conversation with Pete Carroll, for example, but I like a lot of the names. It's been a wide, diverse search, and hopefully they can get it right. Yeah. That's all that really matters.
Could Gruden still possibly have a lot of legalities yet where he can't get back in the league right away until he gets some stuff squared away?
Maybe that's part of it, but I'm sure he'd drop any lawsuit if he got back in. I'm sure that's part of it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. But as far as McCown goes, yes. I like I said, I think it just creates an interesting problem only because the Jets, they do have the talent, and you bring the right group in, I think they can win right away next year.
So you think the Jets have their eye on the prize?
Oh, most definitely. It's just it's like going to the carnival and playing the games. You gotta have the skill, to play the games and do your, like you said, do your due diligence and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully, you can win at the skee ball game. I don't know if that makes any sense as an analogy, but I don't hit on everything, Jake.
I think you made some salient points, David. Excellent job by you.
Thank you, sir. I got my Iron UG. I hope you like my Jets take. You know they call me David T. It's not easy for me to see, but if you bring me full stream, you might like what I had to say. I'll need to get real damn close, cause my vision is dog shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, more of your calls right now. Adam is up next. What's up, Adam?
Hey, I can't follow that safety video. It makes me laugh so hard.
You
How
want
you
me to come
doing?
back to you?
No, I'm good. I've composed myself.
right.
I think it's great. Let's interview him. Like, what's wrong with looking at all the choices? I like all the different directions we can go in, and he's a great player for us back in the day. I really liked his time here. And
Are you
yeah,
talking about David T or McCown?
both. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
McCown. No, I'm happy about McCown.
Now, McCown, outside of the Fitz year and Rodgers this year, is responsible for like the third best quarterback season over the last 15 years.
Yeah, why the heck not? Right? Like, expect the unexpected. Yeah, there are things that are going to happen, are going to fall into our lap that I think are going to go well for us next year. So positive vibes coming. Question for you though. Isn't it interesting there haven't been any college coaches, like hot college names that have been in these conversations for all the opening head coaching spots in the NFL?
I don't know if I'm that surprised. I mean, it really hasn't worked the last couple of big names that have tried it. So I feel like maybe the league is staying away from that.
Yeah, this interesting trend because usually there's a couple of college names that come up in conversation. So
I mean, Belichick couldn't even get an NFL job, so he went to college. Like, that kind of tells you where we're at with colleges.
yeah, for sure. I was thinking one other thing about Vrabel is I wonder if there's a possibility he might go to the Raiders to be with Brady.
It's possible. I just don't see the appeal of that job. You don't have a quarterback in a division with the best quarterback in the sport, the dynasty team in this sport. Plus, Harbaugh now has fixed the Chargers. Sean Payton has revitalized the Broncos. Why would you go there?
It's a year-to-year league, except if you're a part of the dynasty that is the Chiefs right now.
It
So
is. I get that, but what's your plan at quarterback?
yeah, well, I think they got top 2 picks, so they're gonna they either have to, pull a Carolina and force it, or they will have to take whatever Tennessee doesn't want, right?
What they don't have a top 2 pick though.
I thought they did, no?
No,
Okay.
the Raiders aren't picking in the top 5.
Oh, sorry, I looked at the wrong mock draft. I got confused. Maybe they'll trade up if they feel strongly about it. That's
The
something that we
Raiders-
could also do too, Like,
The
we could
Raiders are
trade up.
6. Look, they're 6. So Tennessee's going quarterback. Cleveland's going quarterback. Then now what?
It'll be interesting to see what Cleveland does. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Didn't look like they had a lot of answers this year, but you never know.
Well, I'll tell you what, Adam. Good call. Way to be composed. You brought a lot to the table.
Appreciate you. Thanks, Jake.
Adam is too cool. And man, did he look cool today. Let's say hello to Kyle Clifton, who's next on the show. What's up, Kyle?
What's going on, Jake? NFL.com had an article about they ranked the best coaching openings, and I think that they had the Raiders at the very bottom of the list, which to me isn't that surprising. I would have probably had them as second to last.
There's 6 openings right now for coach, 2 for coach and GM, or 2 for GM. Jets obviously are the only team with both. I am curious, where were the Jets on that list then?
Yeah, I think they were third.
Yeah, I think it's probably I think that's fair. I don't think it's the best job. I don't think it's the worst job. I think it really depends on what the candidate wants, right? I don't think there's last year I felt like, the Chargers are definitely the best job because you have Justin Herbert. I don't know. I don't think there's definitely a definitive best job that's out there this year. They all have pros and cons. They're all available for a reason. There's no perfect situation.
Saints are $64 million over the cap next year.
Brutal.
It's brutal. And also the Raiders, I don't know how you saw how they handled the Antonio Pierce firing. Abysmal. They let him go out in front of the media on Monday morning, and then they fired him yesterday.
They waited till Tuesday late afternoon to do that. That's
Right.
crazy.
Right. So I wildly disagree with you, obviously, on Nagy. I guess I don't understand what the mandate for an experienced coach and the difference between an experienced coach and a retread is. Because this guy, he does check some of the boxes. He does an offensive side of the ball coach. He had a winning overall record, made the playoffs twice, and he was AP Coach of the Year. So, I mean, definitely deserves an interview. Definitely deserves to be paired with a GM somewhere for a second try, where he might be able to succeed, where he would be aligned. You might not think that that's the Jets, and Vrabel is definitely still my first choice. but I think we could do worse than Nagy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a vibe thing with Nagy. The idea that he's just like Gase again. You know,
I think that's you know what? I think that's a big part of it. Like the 4-letter first name, the 4-letter last name. It's like subconsciously, I think it's
Hall of
weighing
Fame
on
quarterback
Jets.
he's working with, and it's just like like Gase made the playoffs in Miami too his first year. I don't know. I'd get on board if they hired him because I wouldn't have a choice. I'd give him a chance, but it's just it doesn't excite me. I would not be thrilled with a Matt Nagy hiring.
Right, and I don't know if you saw the roster of that 2018 team that he won 12 games with.
They were
yes,
stacked.
the defense was stacked. The offense was non-existent. They had Trubisky at quarterback. The only guy who really had a career year was Tariq Cohen, and he was the gadget guy.
Didn't they have Alshon Jeffrey on that team too?
I don't think so. No.
Who was on that team? I'm trying to remember. I look. He's not the worst option that they're talking. Like they're interviewing Vance Joseph. Like I give me Matt Nagy over Vance Joseph for examples. But so it's more of just a vibe thing. Didn't he have DJ Moore? Ian wrote in. Who was on that 2018 team?
I don't think he was there yet.
Wasn't there? Yeah, he probably wasn't. He's still in Carolina. I don't know. I got to look into it more. I hope they don't hire him.
Right. One last thing with the Patriots, right? Both those guys that they interviewed to satisfy Rooney, they're both out of football, right?
Pep Hamilton is definitely out of football because he was doing TV covering the Texans as an analyst. So that I know. And then I don't think Byron Leftwich was in the NFL. Maybe he was in college. Let's find out. No, that was, what's his name? Bieniemy was in college. By the way, I'm surprised no one's interviewed Bieniemy for the token black candidate again like they've done the last other years. Byron Leftwich, it was not in football this year. Yep.
So that's crazy that their two top candidates that actually satisfy the rules are out of football, and they're the guys that they interview as external candidates. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Forget about the graphic, putting them both on the same graphic. Keep and try not to ignore that they groomed this guy for 5 years, said he was the heir apparent. He was the owner's handpicked guy.
Yep.
And they gave him 1 year. Like, I don't understand the lack of outrage. That's one thing I'm with you on.
Agreed. And you know what? And here's the thing, too. People talk about, like, these great owners. Most of these owners are morons. They get lucky with their hire. You think Robert Kraft knew Bill Belichick was going to end up being one of the best, if not the best, coach of all time? Like, you got to get lucky, man. Like, we talk about, ownership. Like, the reality is NFL owners are stupid. Most of them are. Let's be real here. Some are lucky. Some are not. Some get lucky like Cal McNair did where he stumbled into C.J. Stroud when they wanted Bryce Young. They would have taken him if they lost that last game with Lovey. Instead, they got C.J. Stroud. Now look what's happened. Like some owners are just lucky. All right? They're all very silly. Not one owner made an offer for Lamar Jackson when he was available. Just remember, there's a lot of dumb people who have a lot of money out there, and some are just luckier than others.
Right.
That's not Robert Kraft. How's Robert Kraft doing without Tom Brady anymore? Now, as you bring up, they couldn't wait to get rid of Belichick. Gerard Mayo's his handpicked guy. They're going to give him time to do it his way. And 1 year in, he's blowing the whole thing up. So people are shameless when we talk about great ownership and all this. James Dolan's not this great owner either, by the way. He just finally picked two people that know how to run a basketball organization, and the Knicks have figured it out. Like, you got to just pick the right people and get lucky along the way. That's really the key to being a good owner.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we know that there are certain ownership groups that might be distinct from others. Like I think the Rooneys are an ownership group that where they give their coaches time to develop, and they don't pull the rug out from underneath them, and they generally make good picks and stick with them. So I appreciate your time, Jake.
Kyle, good call. And I also think, too, with the Rooneys, like if Mike Tomlin sucked after a couple of years, he wouldn't be there right now. Like some owners are definitely more patient than others, and you get rewarded for that patience. Like the Cincinnati Bengals owner didn't get rewarded for the amount of years he stuck with Marvin Lewis. You know, he was a good coach in the regular season, couldn't win in the playoffs. Some of it is just luck. We make too much of ownership. I'm sorry, we do. Like Robert Kraft was considered the gold standard of ownership. It's easy to have the gold standard of ownership when you get lucky with Belichick and Tom Brady in the 6th round. LA with a $20 super chat. LA, you're in the next raffle. 5 raffle tickets for a chance to win. the full-size helmet because of your $20 super chat. And more importantly, LA writes in that it is his birthday. And all I want is the Jets to hire Mike Vrabel and a happy birthday from Bobby Midnight. Bobby, if you're feeling better and can sing to LA, please call in immediately and give it to us. LA, happy birthday. And shout out to your wife who posted in the Discord. I saw that she loves the Asmaniac sweatshirt you got her. So I appreciate that. Also, you want Mike Vrabel? I want Mike Vrabel. And if I'm the Jets, I'm making Mike Vrabel an offer that he can't refuse. And by the way, if he does refuse it, at least Robert Kraft, who's known to be cheap, has to spend more money to get him. That's what I'm trying to do.
Would you cut your dick off for a Super Bowl?
Oh, been married 20 years. Yeah, probably.
You've got 3
as a player.
That's what we need, man. Anyone who would chop off their Joe Willie for a Super Bowl is what the Jets need very badly. All right? Anyone who's willing to chop off their Woody Johnson to win a championship, that's what they need a head coach. Right, Beastbreaker?
Correct, Mondo, je ne sais quoi. First of all, these guys that I'm hearing, these weirdos that we're trying to get, no. Nagy, no. Ron Rivera, no.
No.
Ron Rivera was great with the Bears, but unfortunately, dude, your time is up. You gotta hit the bricks. You're not qualified. You don't have the muscle, you don't have the strength, and you don't have the testicular fortitude to be a man. That's why it's called, dude, you had your fun, you had your time. Go enjoy the rest of your life, down the road. Rex
Beast,
Ryan
it's good to see you in the daylight, by the way. We haven't seen you in the daylight in a long time.
Yeah, I know. Well, I've been having problems with the ribs. Yeah, this side's hurting this morning. I don't know why, but it's not that good. But I hope Bobby Midnight gets better soon, and I hope he gets that job at Burger King. BK, have it your way.
Yeah.
Come on, everybody, help me out with this damn part, You rule.
I'm in. I'll be ready next time you sing it. All right, Beast?
Ding dong. But like I'm going to address one thing. If we get Vrabel, we can get Ryan. And you imagine that annihilation beyond the apocalypse will look like? It'll look like a nightmare for the AFC East. And imagine if we play the Steelers and we play the Browns and then we get the Bengals and then we get to go to Jacksonville and play Robert Saleh's team. And I'm sitting there like, Robert Saleh is going to get mowed over like a pile of dog shit. And that song that you were playing, I think our team is dog shit. That's classic. We are dog shit this year, but don't worry. We got 9 months. All we got to do is look forward to basketball and hockey. Let's just hope the Rangers win a damn Stanley Cup. We haven't won a Stanley Cup since '94.
Hey, Beast, Tom Mace wants to know if you could sing the Baby Back Rib song.
Baby back, I want my baby back. Chili's baby back ribs with barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Hey, Chili's is not too bad too, but they're a little pricey in my range. But let me just say this for everybody's sake. Let's focus on basketball and hockey right now. And then when the NFL draft comes up, let's keep our eyes on that. Keep our eyes glued. And also, let's see who we're going to get.
Hey, Beast. Rich says that your typical Burger King order is $36. Is that true?
I don't go to Burger King. I'm sorry. Burger King died a long time ago. Like, let's see, 2000, after the Big King, discontinued. Unfortunately, I do my own shopping. Thank you very much. And what I do is nobody's business. So what I do is my own thing. It's called go out, enjoy, have a little fun. Now,
how much lint is in your belly button? That's a question from Finnegan's Flight Crew.
Hey, morons. I'm here to talk football and other life, not retardville and not other bones of buttheadism. So I'm going to give you a Biff Tannen quote. I'm going to cut you a break today. So why don't you make like a tree and get out of here? You remember that line?
Matt writes in T-shirts or turtlenecks on you.
Are you stupid? Tell me something. Are you stupid or something? Are you there
Question
too?
from Gia. She wants to know if you shower.
Sweetheart, I do it every day. Thank you very much. Why do you think I shave, brush my teeth, look like a star, and keep my ass in gear? They don't pay you to look like a jackass, Number one. Hey,
Peter
I'm
Castro.
your dad. Hey, Peter, I'm your daddy, bitch. Now get out of here. Go get me my gabagool. Okay? Here's $20. Go down and get the gabagool, Italian beef, extra provolone, and make sure to give me some of that, au jus, some good, good sauce to go with that.
Your thoughts on the Chili's 3 for Me special, Beast?
3 for me. Where the hell did these morons come up with this crazy stuff? I never heard of a 3 for me. What is all that? I don't even go to Chili's. I can't. Number one, our restaurants are too out of control right now. Everything is called good things will wait. You give it time. What is this crap here?
A lot of speculation about the size of your head being shaped like a hard-boiled egg, Beast. Any comment?
That is the stupid, in the words of the great Donald Trump, what a stupid question that is. Okay? That is such a stupid question. Please throw that question out into the toilet. Please get
Gabe
out.
wants to know, do you do your food shopping by Instacart, and how so do they get up to the attic hole?
Hey. Mr. Brigger, I'm going to tell you one time, okay?
We're never going to know, Beast. The bounty was paid off by Kyle Clifton. The Beast call is over as he heads back to the hole.
Pile of old gabagool. Offensive line, defensive line. Offensive line. The first thing I'm going to address.
No more protection from the Asmaniacs. Had to pull you out of the chat and cast you down with the sodomites.
Boys. I shave every day. I also represent real people of Japan. Get out of here now. Let's concentrate on football. Are you seriously on crack? I think somebody's going to call the crack department. Retarded questions. How about you bending over and taking up the booty hole behind the 7-Eleven?
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we call democracy. Why's my camera blurry here? That's what we call the power of the Asmaniacs. 10 memberships gifted. It ends. I'm implementing a new rule. We're calling it the Beast Breaker Clause. Anytime there's a call in the chat, wants it to end, the end of the call bounty is 10. And Kyle Clifton has come through. And if you hear your name called, not only does Kyle Clifton have 10 names in our next raffle, but he has gifted you a membership. Ghost Ackley, Aaron Messed Up, Matt Burano, Shaft, Joe Dario, DP. Not that kind of DP, you sickos. Mighty Mouse Chunk Vermubo, Bronx Pharaoh Queen, NYC 2SRQ. All receiving a channel membership. Welcome. And thank you to Kyle for supporting the show. Ladies and gentlemen, comments, questions, super chats will in fact cut the line. Kikuka Lake Jet fan says, when has he seen Joe Willie without a mirror? This in reference to Beastbreaker, of course. Jesus Jerry says, thoughts on buttered sausage. Well, we'll never know Beast's thoughts on buttered sausage until next time. Unless, as all stipulations on the show state, 10 memberships and the Beast returns from the hole immediately. In the meantime, let's check in with more of your calls. We say hello to a guy who hasn't called in a long time, but he still is engaged in this show, still engaged with Jet football. Southern Jet, our pal Rich is up next. What's up, Rich?
Hey, Jake, can you hear me? There was some StreamYard ad on.
Yes.
You can? Okay, thanks.
I hear you loud and clear.
Hey, the picture is actually better. You must have made some updates.
You look good?
Yeah, thanks. So do you. So do you with the Roan apparel.
That's right. That's right.
I don't have any hot takes. It's just something from the day that the Jets were looking for a head coach, and I text you all the time on Twitter, but the Gruden thing is baffling me. We've had 8 coaches since 2000. One was offense, Gase, but did you see the Gruden interview on Bleacher yesterday?
Did I see Gruden's interview on Bleacher Report? No, I didn't. I didn't see him do an interview.
Okay, yeah. Well, whatever, it was with a guy from Chicago and some other host who had a Tampa Bay shirt on. But he was talking about when he interviewed for the Raiders job, and how he was 4 days with Al Davis, And what I liked about Gruden, I would bet you Gruden's got 3 staffs ready to bring into the Jets based on what the Jets are going to do offensively and defensively. He's got so many contacts. He actually, in the interview, said Las Vegas and Miami were not good jobs because very hard to control the players in those 2 places. And he did mention that he didn't mention teams, but he did mention the ideal place for a new coach is where there's going to be a new GM. So they both come in at the same time together.
I think you were referring to, by the way, a Barstool interview, not Bleacher Report.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, Jake. Barstool. Yep. Because that's where he signed, right? Yeah.
Yep. He does a lot of content. I've heard him a lot since he went over there, whether he's doing play breakdowns or just on different shows talking about the league. He's still locked in. You ever watch his YouTube channel? I mean, the guy is an encyclopedia of current NFL knowledge. The fact that they're not giving him an interview to this point is, to me, very disappointing.
He's from the Holmgren tree. Oh my God!
Look at his coaching staff. Look at the coaches he's worked with in his career.
I'm baffled. And the other guy just said, well, forget that what he said. But I'm not a big fan. I want to, Gruden, Carroll, Vrabel. I mean, I'm not no particular order. Those are my top 3. Flores, if he proves in the interview, he's changed a little bit. And as far as Gruden, I think he would be perfect to use Rodgers as a bridge, and then coach up the young kid that we're going to draft. I assume. What round do you think we're going to draft a quarterback in?
I think as early as the first round. I don't think it'd be with a top 10 pick, but I could see them trading back in for someone if they like him. I also could see second round.
Who's listed in the 7-8 range quarterback? I haven't been paying attention.
I don't think there is a quarterback right now that's listed. I mean, Jalen Milroe and some mocks, I saw him going that high, but I don't think he's going to go anywhere near the top 10 now after his bowl performance and how he ended the year.
Would we trade up with Cleveland?
I guess that's going to cost a ton, though. I don't know if I want to trade up that many assets for this quarterback class. They say it's not as good as last year. That feels like that feels like a reach.
Yeah, I personally would rather wait a year or get somebody like, whoever, maybe trade, whoever Minnesota doesn't decide on, something like that. And because they said that McCarthy would be number 1 in this year's class if he was in the draft.
Right.
I
like the idea of hiring Flores, McCown as the OC, and inquiring about McCarthy. Like, that's like my dream scenario. And in that scenario, I still would have Rodgers back for a year as the bridge as McCarthy comes off the injury. He sits and learns, and then he has sat for 2 full years behind offensive geniuses, and then we're ready to roll.
Another thing is I'm not a fan of, and I think you touched on this without saying it, with Nagy, I'm not a fan, I've never been a fan of hiring coordinators whose expertise is on the same side of the ball as the head coach.
Now, to be fair, though, that was Kevin O'Connell under Sean McVay. So sometimes it does work.
There's one-offs. I get it. But usually, I don't want to hire the defensive genius coordinator who's got the defense, like Belichick as the head coach,
Right.
I just think the odds are against you. Let me put
Sometimes
it
that doesn't work, though, either, right? I mean, Josh McDaniels was the best OC in the league. Yeah, he had Tom Brady. How'd it work without him,
Yeah. Now,
Belichick was a defensive guy, and he became a head coach, and obviously stunk in Denver, stunk again with the Raiders.
Now, we know Rex is not going to get an offer anywhere else, right?
No.
We can agree on that. Okay.
He's not going to get an interview anywhere else.
No, I agree. So would you pair him with Gruden?
So Gruden's the head coach and Rex is the DC?
Yeah.
Would Rex want to be the DC of the Jets? I mean,
I think yes. Yeah.
I don't know if he would. I don't know if he would, though. I mean, look, you're not crazy for suggesting it. I know Leger Douzable said to me that he thinks Rex would actually do it, but I don't know. Rex Ryan's going to come back to the Jets as the DC and not the head coach. After everything he has said, how he's the only right candidate for the job, he's the best guy, and they're going to hire a coach, and Rex is not going to.
Here's my thought.
Be offended.
If you give me a second, here's my only thought process on that. He's not getting any interviews. He's not going to get any more, especially if this one doesn't pan out. I don't know how much he's making on ESPN. What's he got? A once a week slot? He's not making over $1 million.
No, but he's probably making a great salary to work half the year.
I get it, but is his DNA, just like everybody says Gruden desperately wants back in, is his DNA such that he would take $2 million to come back as the Jets' coordinator, knowing that if the Jets do good, his name gets now back into the mix for head coach interviews a year or two later.
Yes, I see the argument. I don't think Rex's ego would allow him to be.
That's the only thing I don't know.
A DC. I don't.
That's the only thing I don't know. But it wouldn't be bad. But Gruden's probably, as we both know, Gruden's got a list a mile long of coaches, and I don't.
He's not even getting an interview, so it's a moot point. I don't even think it'd be Gruden. I think maybe
he
the
might
one guy
be getting an interview. They might be keeping a lid on things. I don't know.
I hope. I really do hope he gets an interview. I mean,
because it makes no sense, does it, Jake? It makes no sense.
Not a single team has interviewed him, which makes no sense. I mean, how are you not going to talk to John Gruden? And also, they should interview Pete Carroll too. Pete Carroll should definitely get an interview. I don't care if he's 72. I mean, Pete Carroll could come in, fix the culture, hire a good staff, get the franchise back on track. Parcells did that, and then even though he left, still the infrastructure he built in scouting, in the front office, with the coaches that were still left over on the Al Gross staff, that was all Parcells, and the organization was set up for success. Pete Carroll could do the same thing.
That's why I said Vrabel, Gruden, and Carroll are my top three choices.
I have no issue with that. If they hired any of those three, I would understand each one. Vrabel, obviously, by clear number one.
Yeah, and so I mean, I agree with you. I don't understand the Gruden thing, and you got to give guys second chances. I know the whole thing in Washington, as you know. I know the lawyer who headed that whole investigation. I told you that off to the side, and they weren't even going after him. They found the stuff because he's actually. I'm not saying what he did was right, but because of the way they found his emails, he's got a very, very good lawsuit. And that's another positive about the NFL hiring him is he'll drop
he's
a
not the
lawsuit
first
if he hires him.
100%. He's also not the first person to make a mistake or have private messages released. And you know what? He's apologized for it. And if you watch him or you talk to any of his players who know him, like the idea that John Gruden is a misogynist or he's a racist, like it's just not true. It's just not true. Like I don't buy that for a second. So I think he deserves.
I'll tell you who's a racist is Kraft for what he did.
Yeah, you want to talk about ethics? What the Patriots are doing with the circumvent the Rooney rules? A total.
And your dad had the best comment in the chat about it. Go back and look at it in the beginning.
What did he say? I didn't see it.
He said the Crafts aren't racist. They hire minorities all the time at massage parlors.
He's not wrong. Rich,
I'm just saying it was hilarious.
I appreciate it, Rich. Good call. He's not wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, hit that like button. Comments, questions, super chats. They'll cut the line. This is how you know. Beastbreaker, love him or hate him, you have an opinion on him. Back-to-back comments here. You ready for this? 11:22. Kyle Batar. What's the bounty for a full week in the hole for Beastbreaker? Next comment. I kid you not. Killian. Can we pay up front to have Beast exempt from the hole for a week? You can't make it up, people. Love him or hate him, Beastbreaker brings the best out of the community. You're going to watch, unless your name is Mike D's Nuts, who said that he's retiring from the show because of Beastbreaker after yesterday. You're going to watch. And I'll tell you what, there is no bounty on Beastbreaker to be exempt from the hole or to be in the hole for the week right now. Unless it's 50 memberships, and then you choose what I do. The first person to gift it can decide. But I'll tell you what, if you want Beastbreaker revived, it's 10 memberships to revive that man from the hole. That's it. Richard says, Beastbreaker is my GOAT. Adam is too cool, says, you got to let capitalism decide. I agree. Look, I'm a Capelfish, as Bobby Midnight said. Nick says, Jake's got to be the busiest guy on YouTube. We definitely have the longest shows on YouTube. We're like Joe Rogan length shows these days. That's because this community is the best. Peter says Giants will take Aller for sure. If he comes out, I don't know if he's coming out. I do think they would take him, though. They're going to be so desperate for a quarterback. By the way, if he comes out, how do we know that he's not going number one? How do we know that a team doesn't look at a 6'5" quarterback with that arm as someone who has a higher ceiling than Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward? Bill M says January rankings, Southern Jet. Southern Jet, now that he's called in, is eligible for Asmaniac Madness. And he is eligible to be ranked in the month of January. You know what we got to start doing here? When a caller who made the top 10 calls in, for at least that month, I got to edit their name so we could put a number next to them, and that number represents where they ranked in the previous month. Like when you watch a college basketball game or college football, and you got the AP ranking next to them. That's what we got to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's fitting that the number one ranked Asmaniac for the month of December is on hold right now.
Hi, I'm Charles, and I'm going to talk about Spider-Man and movies and sports and video games and maybe hot chicks.
Hey, Jake, how are you?
Charles, you're the number one ranked Asmaniac for the month of December, and it's fitting that we added the number one next to your name.
It's fine. I'm at the, guess where I'm at right now?
Are you at the diner that you were at one of the previous times you called into the program?
Yes, I am. I'm at the Colonial Restaurant, yes.
Now, let me ask you something. If any Asmaniac quickly heads over to the Colonial Restaurant and they want to talk to you, would you be willing to sign pictures? Would you be willing to take a selfie with
I'll
someone?
sign pictures. I'll sign on their body parts. I'll do whatever.
You sign their body parts. So if a woman said, Charles, sign my breasts, you would do it?
Yes, I will pull Adam Sandler.
All right. Good for you. It's good to know you're a man of the people. What else is on your mind, Charles?
What?
What else is on your mind?
Well, Josh McCown, obviously, from what I've heard, he's supposed to be a pretty good quarterback coach. I mean, the guy played in the NFL. He had some success in the NFL, obviously not a whole lot of success. Obviously, his best physical seasons were with the Jets in 2017 and with the Chicago Bears in 2013. So, we obviously know he was able to somewhat play the quarterback position, but I mean, would I be upset if he became a head coach? Not really, but the head coach of the Jets, I don't think so because, last couple of times we tried first-year head coaches and it didn't turn out so well.
I agree. Look, I don't think it's the craziest idea. I still prefer great angle, Charles. Love that look for you. I do still prefer the experience route though.
I do too. That's why I hope either the Jets land for Vrabel or Flores.
Good question here from Bo. Would you use a permanent marker to sign a breast?
No, I wouldn't use a permanent marker.
Okay. D. Rob writes in, Jake, how could I pre-order the Charles I Don't Do Hose shirt? Well, first I have to get that shirt made and add it to the merch store, D. Rob, but it's coming. All right. I obviously that will be a huge seller. People loved what Charles had to say yesterday about women in strip clubs and everything else that was covered on the program. So we will work on that for you, D-Rob. Thank you for the support. Tom wants to know what the brunch order is today, Charles.
A grilled chicken, the one I had the last time, a grilled chicken sandwich with a melted American cheese, no bacon, no tomato, and no French fries, but a pickle, though.
Okay. That sounds delicious. Now, Matt wants to know, what if a man said, Charles, sign my breast? So hypothetically speaking, a woman you would sign, but what about a dude?
I'll sign his stomach, not his breast.
So you would not sign, I'm just throwing a name out there, right? I'm not saying he wants this. Beast Breaker, you would not sign his breast.
I'll sign his stomach, and I'm not doing it to insult him.
Okay. I just wanted to just throw it out there, kind of gauge where you're at. Dan says Charles is saying he signed a woman's chicken breast. Would you sign a like a drumstick?
Yes.
Okay. Questions for Charles here. It's not often we get the number 1 ranked caller to call in. Let's see. Matt wants to know, do you sniff the pickle prior to putting it in your mouth?
Do I sniff the pickle? No, I eat it.
I see. Now, are you dining solo? What's on the agenda today? Oh, we got a friend here.
He's
Who
my
is
brother,
that?
Edward. That's my brother, Edward.
That's Edward Gorman?
Yeah, it's my brother.
Hello, how are you?
What's up, Edward? How are you? Nice to meet you.
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm a big fan of your brother. He was the number 1 ranked caller in the month of December. A lot of people in my community believe that he could be the number 1 overall seed when we get to the Asmaniac Madness tournament this March.
Nice. Very good. Well, you enjoy yourself and enjoy talking with Charles, all right?
Now, Edward, let me ask you something. What is it like to be sitting in front of greatness right now?
In front of the what?
Yeah, you're sitting in front of greatness.
It's amazing. The greatness just radiates from him. So I just, the greatness just radiates off him. So I get to bask in the greatness along with him. So.
I see. Now, I know Grandma Joe is turning 100 soon. Can you ask Edward what Grandma
99,
Joe...
actually.
Oh, 99. Can you ask Edward what Grandma Joe has meant to him?
My brother just left right now.
He
Grandma
left.
means a lot to us. Grandma means a lot. Our grandmother means a lot to us. No, she's like another mother to us. You know, she loves us unconditionally. You know, she's other than our own mother, she's the strongest woman we know. You know, she's been through a lot.
Did Edward just walk out on the check? Who's paying the tab?
No, my brother, I think, just went to the rest. Oh, he's right here. Yeah. He wants to know how much his grandma means to you.
A lot. She's a fountain of knowledge.
Big Jets fan, right?
Our grandmother's not a sports fan.
I see. Gia writes in, Charles has great genetics. He'd be a great father to my baby.
Charles, here we go. It's you.
Hello, ma'am.
No, thank you.
Here's the food, guys. As you can see, greatness right in front of you. Pickles.
Charles,
chicken.
you'll be there for another 10, 15 minutes, right?
I'll be there.
right.
Listen, Gia said I'll be. Look, Gia, I appreciate the compliments, but I'm attracted to somebody else.
Are you?
Yes, but I'm not telling you who.
Okay. Are they in the chat?
No.
Are they an Asmaniac?
I'm not telling you.
That's a yes.
I'm not telling you, so that's either a yes.
Do I know this person? Have I met them in person?
I'm not telling you.
It sounds like a yes.
I'm not saying the person's name because I don't want to get them embarrassed.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to have to do some digging here because I think we have an idea, but we don't know for sure. Gio wants to know, is it Beastbreaker?
I'm not gay.
Whoa. That's not what we're asking.
She asked me if I have feelings for somebody else, and I said, no, it's not Beastbreaker. I'm not gay.
Rich writes in, it's Leanie for sure.
She's married, so no.
So you're not attracted to people that are married?
Even if I was, it wouldn't make it right for me to hit on them.
Who said anything about hitting on them? You just said you were attracted to someone.
I have feelings for somebody else is what I meant to say.
I see. My dad says good morals.
Thank you, Mr. Asman. You raised your son well.
No, he's saying you have good morals, not me. I have terrible morals.
I see.
Yep.
I see you rocking the Knicks shirt. They lost 3 in a row, unfortunately.
But they're going to win tonight with me in the building, Charles. Don't worry.
Who are they playing?
The Toronto Raptors.
They should win.
They should. They should. Dre is speculating that you have feelings for Cartley. Is this true?
I'm not talking to Dre. After the comment he made to me in regards to the election, I'm not talking to that guy.
All right. So what did Dre say to you, Charles?
He pretty much insulted me for supporting the candidate that won.
Damn. So there's beef between you and Dre?
Yeah, unfortunately, but
Now that's an angle, folks. Find this shot on any other show out there. You won't. Now I do have to address a comment here. Let's see. It was about me. Hold on. Let me find it. Very important. I answer this immediately. Where'd it go? Oh, here it
might
is.
have
From
got
Leon.
deleted.
Jake's morals. He'd kill 17 puppies for a date with Kay Adams. Not 17, probably like 15. So I just want to get that on the record.
Don't kill any puppies.
But it's Kay Adams.
I don't care. You don't kill any. I wouldn't kill any puppies to date a woman like Kay Adams. She is very attractive.
What about like what about like 2 puppies?
No puppies, Bob. No puppies.
Okay. Just wanted to get that on the record from you. I have been told by at least 2 Asmaniacs that they are on their way currently to the diner to see you, Charles.
That's interesting.
No thoughts on that?
I said that's interesting. I said that's interesting.
Is that a Coke or a Diet Coke you just sipped there?
Pepsi.
A little Pepsi product?
Yes, they don't serve Coke. They serve root beer, Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, Mountain Dew.
Love Bite says that you're simp proof. Any truth to this?
I don't want to say I'm simp proof, but it is what it is.
Okay. Good question. What if they're evil puppies? So the puppies are confirmed evil. You still wouldn't kill any of them for Kay Adams?
Next question.
All right. What about Joy Taylor? Allegedly, you might have a chance with her if you could help her career.
I'll pass. Thank you. No
Okay.
disrespect to Joy, but she's, as I said before, I don't do hoes.
That's right. That's right. It's going to be on a T-shirt. Don't do hoes. All right. Charles, I'm going to check back in with you. Stay on hold because I do know there are some Asmaniacs on the way. All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The great Charles Eugene M. Gorman, our number one. You see the one next to his name, ranked caller in the month of December.
Hi, I'm Charles, and I'm going to talk about Spider-Man and movies and sports and video games and maybe hot chicks.
What a call from Gorman there. So normally Jeff Parles joins us every Wednesday at 4, but he's unavailable today. But Jeff has called in to give us a couple minutes of his time, get his thoughts on the coaching search and the Jets. So we'll check in with Jeff now, and we'll be back, of course, for our second stream later this afternoon. But Jeffrey, hello, sir.
It's been a while, my friend. I'm happy to be with you today, as always, Jake. Sorry, when you just throwing this out there, my wife and I moved into a new house. When you move into a new house, you realize some things need to be fixed the way you like. So that's why I've been MIA the last few weeks. Not because I'm scared of Neil or anything. We are not scared of Neil over here, like some. At least I saw one person claim a few weeks ago.
I got to talk to you on the radio, so I still feel like I got my Parles fixed when you joined me on New Year's Day.
We did win Notre Dame, and we won Dylan Gabriel over, even though the Ducks got slaughtered. So it was good. It was good. And also too, Jake, we were both awake by lunchtime on the East Coast on New Year's Day, which is honestly its own impressive feat for us.
100%. Well, you on the West Coast, a little more impressive than me. I had to work. I had to be up early to do a 4-hour talk show, but I do get it. What's more painful, the 2024 Jet season or trying to figure out how to move into a new
Nothing's more painful than what the Jets did, man. I mean, the fact that this was the least enjoyable season for you and I. Again, you and I don't remember the Kotite years. But for you and I mean, this is the least enjoyable year we've ever had by margin. And I be honest with you, I was happy it was over. Like,
Me too.
and I know I wasn't alone on that. I was happy it was over. It was like, all right, well, you go 5-12, you end up with again the top 10 pick again. You're in another coaching and GM search again. Jake, it really looked like for a while until Tennessee fired Cathorn earlier this week. I was going to be like, well, the Jets are going to be the only GM slot available. How are they going to manage to screw this one up this go around? I mean, it's a job with at least enough young talent, even with the big questions at the quarterback position and the fact that the defense needs to at least get reworked. There are still players that can play, but obviously we saw the mess that it was this year. But yeah, I mean, look, this year sucked. I don't think there's anyone who's going to disagree with me on that, Jake.
Now, as we move forward now, your thoughts on the GM and coach search, the names you're hearing, and ultimately your take on how you see it playing out if you had to guess very early on in this process here.
I think Thomas Dimitrov's going to be the GM.
Which would be an awesome hire.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Dimitrov. I think you're in a scenario now where either the GM or the coach has to be technically a retread, Jake. One of the two of them is going to be a retread. Maybe even both of them end up being retreads, which we'll get to the coaching end of it in a little. But look, Dimitrov had built a roster in Atlanta that made a Super Bowl and quite frankly should have won a Super Bowl. Obviously, that was the infamous one that we don't even need to mention. You're in a scenario here where, again, that Atlanta team, when he got there, was in the rebuild. But it's a guy that I think can build out a good roster, especially with the players that are already in New York with this team. Again, obviously, going to have to figure out the quarterback position, assuming Rodgers isn't back. Going to have to figure out reworking the front, at least the portion of that defense, like I said earlier. But I think it's going to end up being Dimitrov on the GM side. Obviously, they're casting a very wide net. There are some names that, Ryan Grigson getting an interview is insane. I mean, he's one of the worst GMs of the last 20 years.
He does have a winning record, though.
No, I know, but
I'm just saying.
Andrew Luck, man. Andrew Luck.
Joe Douglas never had a winning season. Grigson had a winning record.
I look, a good friend of mine that I went to college with texted me when he saw Grigson was interviewing and legitimately asked me, is this real? That's how that's the thought, at least from people who are Colts fans. Coach-wise, it's a little more complicated, Jake, because with me thinking it's going to be Dimitrov, because you had scenario again, even though I think it's going to be Dimitrov, my number one combination is the Mike Greenberg, Liam Cohen combination, Jake. That's my number one combination altogether, and obviously together in Tampa. Look, Liam Cohen made Will Levis look good enough that he got drafted as a second-round pick. Like, let's just be real with ourselves, Jake. Obviously, the McVay connection as well. Baker threw 41 touchdowns this year, Jake. 41 for Baker Mayfield. And look, Baker's revitalized his career. To me, he's a legitimate top 12 NFL quarterback. But you got to have a special play caller if you're throwing 41 touchdowns, especially when Chris Godwin hasn't played since October. Mike Evans missed a month. Like, that's amazing, an amazing job. And, that offense is so good that Todd Bowles couldn't even screw it up there. So that is that's the guy I want number one is Cohen. But if it's going to be Dimitrov, I really do think it's going to be one of these defensive. Again, I think Vrabel's going to New England at this point, which stinks, but that offensive coordinator hire was going to be important. But I think you're going to see the Flores-McCown combination when it's all said and done, Jake. As long as Woody Johnson is willing to hire Brian Flores, I think that's what you're going to see. I think you're going to see Dimitrov as the GM with Brian Flores as the head coach and Josh McCown as the offensive coordinator. I think that is what ends up happening with the hires. And for Flores, it's just a matter of look.
As he learned from the Miami stint, right?
Yeah,
really, right?
What did he learn from the Miami stint? Because look, Ryan Fitzpatrick kind of went off on it a few days ago. We know that he and Flores and Tua did not get along at all, obviously, in Miami. But look, I think if Flores learned again, you can be you can be a hard ass, but you don't have to be a jerk about it. Like you can be a tough-nosed coach without alienating your locker room, which really feels like the reason he was fired in Miami more so than anything, even with again, obviously we saw what happened with the lawsuit, but that came after the fact.
Well, they also tried to go behind his back and get Brady
Hire
and
Sean
Payton
Payton
there.
obviously, yeah. But look, I think you're in a scenario where if you ended up with Flores and McCown, that is more than doable, and
That'd be awesome, man. I mean,
need
if
a
you tell me
culture changer,
McCown's,
man.
yeah,
You need
100%.
a culture changer, and look, Flores inherited an all-time train wreck in Miami. That roster, the first year in 2019, that I mean, at one point in that season, Jake, they had an in-season win total of 1.5. We'll never see that number again, except for when a team starts like 0-14. And he won 5 games with them. The next year, he almost made the playoffs. So he's a culture changer. In that scenario, I know you've said this on social, the offensive coordinator hire is so important with a defense first guy. And look, I know Josh McCown has never been an offensive coordinator, but that would be the guy I'd be willing to give a look. He's better than the retread options at OC. So that would be what I'd be that's what I think ends up happening. I think they hire Flores, assuming that New England gets Vrabel. If Vrabel comes to the Jets, great. Or if he goes to the Bears and New England hires Flores, then I'm not entirely sure what happens after that. But Flores with McCown, that's what I think happens. My top choice, though, still, I would love a offense first head coach as my first choice. I still have Liam Cohen as my number one choice, but I don't know. The betting market seemed to think Jacksonville's hiring him, which is interesting because that's something I haven't really heard at all.
Not Robert Saleh, who's getting an interview?
Look, Jake, I was surprised Saleh got an interview. I do think Saleh's going to end up being on the Bulls path, where he ends up being a head coach again, but it takes some time. I would be shocked if Saleh isn't Kyle Shanahan's defensive coordinator next year in San Francisco.
Josina Anderson reported that he's going to get an offer for that job. So
yeah,
I think he's going back there.
I would be shocked if he's not back there next year, honestly.
Yep. I like where your head's at. If you told me it's Dimitroff with Flores, those two overlapped in New England together when they were both there, that's exciting. If you tell me it's Dimitroff, Flores with McCown as the OC pick, and how about you inquire about a J.J. McCarthy deal? Your thoughts on that?
I just don't think Minnesota's going to do it.
Would you call, though?
I mean, you call, of course. I mean, why not? Even though, again, the Jets traded out of the draft slot that McCarthy ended up getting picked in. Granted, I mean, obviously it was worth
different.
That.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Olu looks like that. Even though it's funny, Joe Douglas, first round drafting wise, did so well, yet had no idea how to build out the roster after the first and second round. But look, Olu is going to be a stud. We already saw it. I mean, just the offensive line improved tenfold without him in there, with him in there without Tyron Smith, I should say. But yeah, look, I think you're in a scenario with McCarthy. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that inquire on that, right? I mean, according to Glazer, there's going to be teams that inquire Kevin O'Connell in a trade, which it's not going to happen. I think that kind of just O'Connell's agent kind of saying, hey, they haven't offered us the contract we want. Can you float this for us? Which makes a lot of sense. And if I'm Minnesota, I'm giving Kevin O'Connell whatever the hell he wants. He's made Sam Darnold look like a top 5 quarterback this year. But look, Minnesota's in a total no-win situation, Jake. Like, especially if they win this first round playoff game against the Rams, even if they lose to Detroit for a third time, it's like, well, Darnold just had his best season. You won 14 regular season games. How do you not run it back? I mean, they're kind of in no man's land. But yeah, I don't know.
He's not leaving.
I don't even think they'd even entertain the McCarthy thing, man. I know that's been a popular thing, but if you're in Minnesota, you can kind of go the Green Bay, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love scenario if you really wanted to. But yeah, you make the call. I don't think Minnesota is going to be willing to give up McCarthy, though.
Yeah, I'm with you. By the way, they haven't requested Cohen yet, which I find intriguing. Maybe they hire Greenberg first in this scenario and then would interview Cohen. But since they're doing so many of these coaching interviews in conjunction with GM interviews, during this kind of first round, just talking to as many people as possible. I'm surprised Liam Cohen did not get an interview request.
I mean, that's going to come at some point, you imagine, right? Like, if they
It's
hired,
weird.
yeah, it's bizarre. Like, look, the Ben Johnson thing, I think the Jet is one of the few times where Woody Johnson's showing correct self-awareness. Like, Ben Johnson's not coming. Like, Ben Johnson's either taking the Jacksonville job where he's essentially the GM because Balky's dead man walking if the head coach wants him out of there. But even, I mean, you saw what Shad Khan said with Balky right next to him. Yeah, the head coach gives basically the head coach interview gives me the proper structure. Yeah, well, fire my GM would be right there. If the Bears don't screw it up, I think Ben Johnson's going to be the coach of the Bears next year. So I get it from Woody. Like, Ben Johnson's not coming. Don't waste your time. Should you put the request in and let them deny it? Yeah, sure. But Ben Johnson's not coming. But look, it's just a scenario more so than anything, Jake. Where you're if you hire Greenberg, you probably put that request in for Cohen. Really, Jake, of the list of head coaches, like of the interviewees that are on the list, like, I really am convinced. I know you had Rex on your show when you were doing ESPN radio. I'm convinced the whole Rex Ryan thing is just a bit at this point. I really am. I just don't think that's realistic from anyone. Like, look, for Rex, like, they interviewed him. He's safe-faced. If he doesn't get the job, so be it. Ron Rivera getting an interview is batty to me. Like, Ron Rivera is, like, way worse than Rex Ryan at this point.
Agreed.
It's not happening. Not happening with Rivera.
Hey, look, he got in the room, though, so we can't completely dismiss it. We
If
know what he
Rivera
loves.
happens, that would be really bad if Ron Rivera, like.
No, I'm talking about Rex. Ron Rivera's not getting the interview.
Yeah,
Ron Rivera's not getting the job, I mean.
Look, if Rex, you could talk me into Rex if you bring in if you basically say, all right, he's just you're trying to change the culture. He's not even calling the defense. Like, he is the CEO coach, which would be interesting as hell to see if that could possibly work with him not coaching in 10 years as a head coach. But look, you could talk me into it if the offensive coordinator hire is right. I just don't see it happening. The only guy on the list that scares me is Matt Nagy, man. Like, that scares me. Like, head coaching experience, did win a division, even though the Bear tenure was a disaster for the most part.
He made the playoffs twice with Trubisky, just saying.
No, I know. And it's been around Andy Reid the last few years. Plus, the guy in Kansas City who's getting an interview whose name I can't pronounce, Borgonzetti or whatever.
Borgonzi, yep. He's interviewing today.
Yeah. So, like, the Kansas City combination, like, makes logical sense, Jake. But look, I watched way too many Bear games with Nagy coaching because that was a common team either bet on or bet against for me when he was there. But boy, that would be bad. I really don't think that would be Adam Gase 2.0 for me if they hired Matt Nagy. That's the only name on the list that scares me.
Final question, Jeff. Aaron Rodgers, predict his future.
Retirement. I think he steps away. I really do. And I think at this point, if he plays next year, I do think it's with the Jets. I just think more so than anything, like, let's look at the logical options outside of the Jets for next year, Jake. Let's look at the logical options. The Niners seem to be floated. That's not logical. Brock Purdy's going to be their starter week 1 next year. The other logical names at this point are what? The Steelers? Do you think that? I don't know if that organization would be willing to do that or not and deal with Aaron. I just don't see that. I think they're going to run it back with Russell Wilson, even though I think Russell Wilson is kind of similar at this point on the field as Aaron, where they're both way beyond their prime. I actually think Aaron might have more left in the tank than Russ at this point, now that offense has been figured out. The only other one would be Tennessee, right? Like, do the Titans bring Aaron Rodgers in and do the draft Shador or Cam Ward at number 1 and have them sit behind Rodgers? Now that they're up to the number 1 pick, I just don't see that happening. So I think the most logical thing is that Aaron Rodgers retires. I think that's what ends up happening here, Jake. And if he does play next year, I think it will be with the Jets. I just don't think he's coming back. I think it's just that he retires when it's all said and done, which then opens up the door of who's going to be the Jet quarterback next year, week 1. And I'm going to what I said a month ago. I think Tyrod Taylor starts week 1 for the Jets next year.
If it's not Rodgers, get me a Tyrod Justin Fields quarterback room.
Why not? You can do worse than that. And
Yeah, you have upside there. I'm not saying Fields is going to do what Darnold or Baker have done, but at least it's like a similar path.
well, look, it's a scenario with Field. Well, again, like so much of this has to do with who you're hiring as your coach, right?
Yep.
Like you just have to see who your coach and your GM first before really going out and seeing what it is. But yeah, look, I think Aaron Rodgers retires, and if he plays, I do think he is. If it's very simple. Aaron Rodgers retires, Tyrod's week 1 starter. Aaron Rodgers doesn't retire, he's the New York Jet quarterback week 1. I really do feel that at this point, Jay.
I still think he gives them their best chance to win, especially with him being willing to take a pay cut, and that means you get Devontae back too.
Yeah, I mean, kind of look at the last 2 weeks. I mean, last week against Miami was kind of a glorified preseason game, right? I mean, he looked good. He looked really good.
He looked mobile
after the interception. But look, how much can you take of that seriously? Because I mean, look, the guys on the Miami sideline knew Denver was up 24-0 immediately. like you knew, everyone knew that. So that was like Miami mailed it in. And Rodgers looked awesome after that. But the week before in Buffalo, I mean, Jake, we've seen a lot of bad quarterback games in our lifetime in the Jets. That was one of the worst one, if not the worst one I've ever seen, that game in Buffalo from Aaron. So, look, you have to see if it, like, how significant the injuries that he suffered this year that he played through were. You have to see a lot of other things. But, look, could he give them the best chance to win next year with the options available? Yeah, he could. Could it also be that he's totally done and the Jets they kind of run it back in a similar fashion it was this year? Yeah, it's possible, but we'll see. I think he retires. I don't think we're going to have to deal with it, Jake. I really don't even think we're going to have the opportunity to see.
All right, 2 quick hitters here, and then we got a special guest that is showed up at the Charles Gorman Diner, so people got to stay tuned for that. Big time. 25 writes in, thoughts on Artie Smith as head coach, Jeff?
Yikes. Now, I think Matt Nagy's the Adam Gase 2.0 hire. I know there's a lot of people that say Arthur Smith is the Adam Gase 2.0 hire. I mean, look, I just don't see it happening more so than anything. No. I think Woody is smart enough. Well, I would hope Woody is smart enough. Or the GM that comes in is.
Thinking is overrated.
I don't know.
I love that. I love when you play that clip. It's such a good clip. But look, Jake, I think more than anything, the fan base is pissed off to begin with. You can't do anything else to antagonize the fan base further than it's already been antagonized this year. Arthur Smith, Matt Nagy, Ron Rivera, that would antagonize the fan base to me, Jake, more than anything.
There is a report, by the way, that Brady reached out to Belichick to see if he'd reconsider becoming a NFL head coach for the Raiders. Just throwing that out there by your neck of the woods, Jeff. Tom Pelissero reporting that.
So, from what I've been told, first off, that decision that was made yesterday did legitimately just get made. Like, Mark Davis didn't know until yesterday morning. Like, legitimately did not know. Like, that's true. Like, didn't know if he was going to keep Pierce or not. By the way, I'm very sad Antonio Pierce isn't staying, Jake. I would really was hopeful that he was going to be around for a very long time with the Raiders because I very much enjoyed watching that train wreck happen in live time. You have to imagine, look, Belichick's, you would hope, I don't know. He's already there. Stephen could get the job right away in Chapel Hill. I don't know. The whole Belichick, North Carolina thing makes no sense to me, man. It just makes no sense whatsoever. I don't know. For New England, for Vegas, I mean, don't you think that like now that that's available, like Brady has a connection? Obviously, like Flores was there when Brady was there. Vrabel, obviously, him and Vrabel are good friends. Like that kind of makes it not a slam dunk that Vrabel goes to New England or here. Like, but boy, could you imagine Belichick in Vegas? can't think of a guy who's like less suited for this city than him, at least on the surface.
I mean, I couldn't picture him in college, and he's at North Carolina recruiting.
Oh, I
so-
know. Well, look, at least I mean, again, he grew up with it. His dad obviously was a college coach for a long time. So craziness, man.
Matt
Oh boy,
B.
this is a fun one.
A. Run Rodgers back. B. Trade for McCarthy. C. Sign Fields and keep Tyrod. D. Draft first round QB. What's your preference, or none of the above, Jeff?
I'm just gonna go in order here of what I would like. Honestly, the number one scenario for me actually is C. It really is. That Buffalo game stands out so badly to me, Jake. Like a meaningful game, at least for the Bills. The defense that was awful for the previous weeks, and Rodgers just looked like he was done.
You also had Max Mitchell and Carter Warren.
I know, but still, though, Jake, like before the safety, Buffalo hadn't even had a hit on him yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. He was awful that game, but I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what Aaron is now. I think he's probably about an average quarterback. Like, where are they finding someone better?
So, again, depends on what the upside is. I think at this point it's C, BA, and then a huge gap to D because of where the Jets are drafting at 7. If they were picking in the top 3, all right, you could. Yeah, I've already said on the show, I think Shador is the best quarterback in this draft. I would have loved to see Shador Sanders and Green. Just not happening. You're not trading up. It's not worth trading the assets to trade up for either of these guys. I don't think they're can't miss guys, even though I like them. I do like Cam Ward as well. You can't take Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers will be a terrible NFL quarterback, especially with the Jets. The interesting one's Drew Aller, where we've talked about this, Jake, where if the Jets took Drew Aller at the top of the second round and traded back into the end of round 1, yeah, you could talk me into Drew Aller. You talk me into that. But, I mean, if Penn State wins the national championship, which is still a thing that could happen, and Aller decides to declare, Aller could play himself into the top 10. And I don't think I'm willing to take a top 10 pick on Drew Aller. I'd rather just get a better asset or even just trade down and get more assets. So that's the least one. I don't want to draft a quarterback in round 1. I don't think any of the quarterbacks are worthy of where the Jets are picking at number 7.
Jeff, appreciate you popping in, and we'll once you get settled into the new home, we'll get you back on the show to give out more takes on this coach and GM search.
Jake, I'll see you next week. Everything should normalize by then. So,
ladies and gentlemen, the great Big Tuna, Jeff Parles, Jeff Parcells joining the show. You're the best, Jeff. Good luck, man.
See you, buddy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, breaking Jet news I want to hit on, and then we'll get to the special guest that has showed up at the diner with Charles Eugene M. Gorman. Aaron Glenn interviewing tomorrow with the Jets. Boom. Then the Saints Friday, Jaguars and Bears Saturday. So the Jets will talk to Aaron Glenn first. He's my pick for who I think they hire right now. Not saying I love it. It will depend on his OC hire, his staff. I like the scouting background he has. I like the former Jet ties. I like the leadership. I just, don't want another first-time defensive-minded coach, but I get it. But anyway, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to say hello once again to this guy.
You'll never get my chicken soup recipe. I'm not saying that Glowski takes steroids. Please, some of it. Hey, Charles! Who is that lovely lady? Send it this way, Charles!
Hello, Charles.
Jake. How are you?
Now give us the special Asmaniac guest that showed up to say hello to you.
He's a cool guy. Okay, probably one of the best beards I've seen in a long time. Here he is.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Shine of the Nick Shine Show. Hello, Nick.
How are you, sir?
Good.
I came here bearing gifts and giving Charles a pair of the gloves that the Jets gave out on Sunday. There you go, buddy.
Oh, you kidding me? Dude, they're so beautiful. No, I'm really serious. I'm not being sarcastic. They're really nice. Holy shit.
Watch your mouth. There's a kid at that table.
Sorry about my language, folks.
Can't bring him anywhere.
These are very nice gloves.
There you go. They were giving them out at the game the other day, and I figured it'd be perfect for you.
They were giving them out to everybody, only like the first 100 people.
Put them on, Charles.
Yep.
Give us the gloves.
Yeah, put them on. Put them on.
Let's see it. It's a big moment right here. What does Edward Gorman think of the gloves?
What's your thoughts on the gloves?
Nice. Very nice.
Who's older, Charles or Edward?
Edward by like 2 years.
Yeah.
Edward's a couple years older. Got it.
Did you ever beat Charles up when Charles was younger? Did you throw him around the house a little bit?
We did.
Did you ever let Charles win?
Yeah. With mercy.
Out of mercy, he let Charles win every once in a while.
Claims I bit him in the butt when he was a kid.
You did. He used to bite me in the foot a lot when we were
Wait. Hold on. Okay, we got an exclusive. What happened?
He used to bite us in the butt when we were kids. No comment.
Charles, you eat ass? Is that what I just heard?
No joke. He just.
We have breaking news. He used to bite his brother in the butt when they would wrestle.
Charles, you're an ass muncher?
Now, would we want to tell the lady that you're attracted to that this is games that you partake in?
I don't partake in anything. We were just kids. I don't know. I don't remember biting my brother in the butt when we were kids.
Right.
I remember bruising one of his big toes when we were kids.
Oh, big toe jokes, huh? Big toe jokes. Right here, when I'm sitting right here, big toe jokes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No heart, Jake. No heart on this guy.
I have a heart.
Look at the gloves, though. Good fit. So, look at you. There you go. Boxing gloves. Gary approves. Oh, look at that, Jake. Well, he's in training now.
Tremendous. Charles, I still can't get over the ass munching allegations that have been discovered here.
Oh, no problem.
Where's your volume? Volume, Jake, real low. I got it. All right, Jake. Try to say something again.
Yes, go ahead. Hello.
All right. The volume was low. Charles was very. Charles does not have an iPhone, so it's a little difficult for me to operate here. I didn't know where the button was.
My dad says, Charles, you're an ass maniac.
Well done, Mr. Asman. Well done.
Well done, Mr. Asman. Well done.
Can't even rebut it. Get it? Rebut.
I know. I mean, I do like booty, but not my brother's butt.
All right, that's fair. Are we going to the strip club now in the afternoon? What are we doing? Are we getting nuts?
You want to comment? We're going to a strip club?
No.
You know? You vote no?
I vote no.
Will you stay in the car?
Yes.
All right. All right, we got a strip club trip planned, I guess.
It's gonna be a wild time. You excited, Charles?
Yes, I am excited.
All right.
Yep, he's excited.
Jeez. I am just blown away by what we learned about Charles Gorman's past. I mean, Charles, the ass muncher.
In the future, we're a few minutes away. Maybe I'll be able to see some of that action in person at the club. We going to the club?
Sure, why the hell not?
All right. Well, I'm expecting a full report during my afternoon stream today on how the experience was.
If we leave there by then.
That's right. If you guys are still there, feel free to call in.
All right.
Thank you.
Now,
enjoy.
let's think about it like this. Dan Campbell once said he would bite kneecaps. Charles Gorman will bite asses. Gorman, head coach of the Jets. What say you?
Gorman?
What?
To the Jets?
I don't know, man. I don't have any particular head coaching experience. I prefer head coaching experience.
All right. Now, it's a very packed night. I've never been here before. It's a packed little restaurant. I did bring a pen with me to get signed, but I don't know if we could do it in here.
I don't know you.
You want to go outside and sign it?
I'll sign your shirt.
I don't want my shirt signed.
I'll sign your jacket.
I'm not signing my jacket. The jacket's even nicer than
I'll sign your beard.
Let's think in the butt cheek.
Oh,
maybe like that, like the hip on the outside.
Oh my! Things I do for my fans.
He just said the things I do for my fans.
He has a lot of fans. I mean, he's the #1 ranked caller for December.
I mean, I am sitting here with a hip hop star.
Look at this
Have
guy.
you seen Charles rap?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Never yet to show him.
Never showed his brother our rap song.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. That's going to have to change because we have a lot of people who tune into the show that are maybe new subscribers who weren't around over the summer when Charles Gorman gave us one of the great moments in the history of the show.
We're YouTubers.
Does she want an autograph, Charles?
Jay, would you like an autograph from Charles? Would you like an autograph from Charles? Okay, he's in a rush. Next time.
Maybe next time.
All right, sir. I'm gonna head out. Charles, pleasure as always. With the gloves, very nice.
I love it, man. Thank you.
Any closing thoughts?
Well, no.
All right, well said. Charles,
Closing thoughts, really?
Well, today's a very good day. I got some really cool gloves. I think my mother will like them.
Let's do this. Here you go. I'm gonna help you here with a little etiquette. Let's prop the phone against a glass of water, and boom, now you're perfect.
Oh.
As I said before, Jake, last time, a note or sexy
Inside your neck.
Oh, come on. Inside my neck. Then blood comes out. I wouldn't mind Josh McCown on the coaching staff of the Jets. I think he'd be a good coach. You know, according to my father, who I consider to be a very wise man,
Dennis,
average players become better coaches than great players. Not all
you
great
look
players.
like the Incredible Hulk, Charles. Give me a little Hulk smash.
Hulk smash, Hulk bash, Hulk crash. Yeah.
All right.
There it is.
Keep an eye hitting the table.
Well, I'll tell you what, Charles. I'm going to play you out the only way I know how, with you and Nick Shine together. For those who haven't seen one of the hit songs of the summer, including you, Edward Gorman, this is for you.
There's been a lot of you out there asking about who he be. Well, he's about to let you know.
He's Charles.
This rap is so hot, you'll play it on a loop. You'll never get the recipe for chicken noodle soup. Super a spider or even a bat. Got nothing on me or Bobby with his hat. Lady's gotta be a 10 if I'm gonna date her. Shout out to my homie, his name is Gator. I'm Charles.
To all you other guys trying to rap on Jake's show, got nothing on this guy and his flow.
He's Charles.
These bars be so hot, I'll get invited on Fallon. You know who won't? That hater, Alan. My comic book and movie takes are so hot and wild. Since my last verse, Johnny had another child. My YouTube is blowing up and I'm becoming a star. Like takes are fresh like the clothes on VR. I'm Charles.
Jets, Yankees, comics, hip-hop, nobody compares when it comes to him.
He's Charles.
I see everyone on Jake's show trying to prop us. I'm the only one jumping over cars. Blowski calls the show and he's always really loud. Shout out to Nick, you know he'd be proud. I don't like Zach or his family, they're Mormon. First name Charles, last name Gorman. I'm Charles, motherfucker.
You just witnessed the debut of a proud New York Jet fan and a Jake Asman production. Brought to you by the man, the myth, the legend himself.
I'm Charles.
Legendary. That's why Charles Gorman, I believe, will end up being the #1 overall seed in Asmaniac Madness this March. I think we're talking about like any of those Bobby Knight Indiana teams this March when it comes to Charles. And I recognize the field is stacked, but good luck. Ladies and gentlemen, there's people on the line right now that could make a run at Charles Gorman this March, including this guy.
It's time for V-Man to talk about Puerto Rico and his Puerto Rican roots.
Hey, Jake, what's up? How you doing?
What's up, V-Man? How are you?
Well, I was going to say one thing that different about what makes, I think, Nagy a bit different than Gase is because Nagy was also the offensive coordinator in Mahomes' rookie year. So it's a little different when you're in the room with him as a young guy, as a young player, than is when you're in the room with him when, you know, he's already well established. So I think that's a bit of a difference there. And
How does he call plays though? I think Andy Reid still called the plays though, no?
I know that, but I mean, you're in the room with him as he's learning, as he's learning, you're in that room with him, in that rookie season. But even though he's running the bench that year, he was learning a lot from the Chiefs offensive staff and learning how to be a quarterback in the NFL. So I think that's a bit different than Gase, because Gase is basically just, as we all joke, he's there handing him coffee. He was basically handing Peyton Manning coffee while he did all the heavy lifting. So, and then I was also just looking up some of the Bears stats. So, like their top, so like I said, their top rusher is Jordan Howard, and their top receiver in terms of yards was Allen Robinson in 2018 when they won the NFC North. Wasn't that much talent. I do agree that the defense was the bulk doing most of the heavy lifting.
I agree. He's not my favorite.
I know. I just want to clarify that. I do agree with you that Nagy is not.
Hector is here. He says, "Hey, fraud, how are you doing?"
Like you are not the. Hey, Hector. Okay, so if I'm such a fake Puerto Rican, then I assume you've happily donated money to help that poor family in Cabo Rojo who had their bar burnt down by a drunk tourist, because they're real Puerto Ricans and I'm a fake, right? Because I can show you that I donated $25 to help rebuild that bar. And so I imagine you have in your immense amount of wisdom helped that poor family, right?
Now let's talk about this slab of plywood hung on your wall. Is it a slab of plywood?
What, the thing over my bed?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's basically like some old it's a map thing. It's supposed to be like a map. It's supposed to be like a globe, but it's just laid out flat.
I see.
Yeah, I got a lot of this stuff in my a lot of this room was designed, like Age of Discovery era stuff. That's what the room's vibe was going for.
Is the plywood from Puerto Rico?
No.
Okay.
I don't have anything. Yeah, but no, let's going back to football talk because so I do think it's weird for McCown to be. I think McCown's not ready to be a head coach. I do think down the road he'll be an excellent one, but I would like him on the staff.
Hector, can we be civil with V-Man? Can we get you two to get along?
Hey Jay, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Hector. How are you?
So Hector, did you donate to help that poor family in Cabo Rojo?
No, I'm broke, man. I'm broke.
I gave them $25 to help.
Good for you. Make sure you count the change too.
No, I did. Look, I don't want to be no more bad blood. All right. Look, we all got out of our system, and let's be civil.
Why the hell you flip me up?
Sorry. I apologize. Like, lo siento.
Uh-oh.
Why you moving with that story?
Hector's so angry he broke his internet.
Hector?
Hector?
Sorry. It's fraud.
He broke his internet. He was so angry at you, V-Man.
Like, look, he's out here. He immediately responds with anger. And look, you're expecting me to act civil when you just harassed me in the chat. Like you're going out of your way to antagonize me, and you're expecting me to be civil. I mean, if someone harasses you, and then they suddenly but what? And then you suddenly yell at them back, and they're like, "Why are you being mean to me?" It's like
Yeah. I see.
Yeah, but so like I was saying, I do agree. Like I do feel with you, like you're saying that I somehow feel like they're gonna go with dang it, why am I blanking on the name? You just said it, the defensive coordinator from the Lions, Aaron Glenn.
Yep.
I do feel like because they're gonna go with it because the vibe of he's the former Jet, coming back, the kind of the prodigal son archetype thing. I feel like that's what they're going to go for. I mean, it has worked before, former players going back to their teams.
What did you think of the Charles Gorman idea? Dan Campbell said he bites kneecaps. Gorman said he bit asses. Any comment on that?
I got no comment. But like I was going to say, there are a lot of former players who go back to their teams. Like, it works for the Bears with Mike Ditka. Obviously, you have it with Dan Campbell. And I know there's more, but I can't think of them often. Oh, Gary Kubiak. I can't think of any more off the top of my head. Right? Oh yeah. What's his name from the Raiders?
Antonio
Tom
Pierce?
Flores. Yeah,
Oh.
Tom Flores. I mean, there are examples of former players going back to coach their respective teams and working out. So it's not a thing that's unheard. It's not a thing. It's happened and it's worked before. I have no problem with it. Obviously, like I think with most people.
Killian writes in, we want the beast. Well, Killian, if you want the beast, you got to get him out of the hole. He's in there for 10 memberships. Continue, E-Man.
Like I said, obviously, I agree with most of the sentiment in this fan base that we want a experienced head coach who has, had some success in the league, that knows how to build a winning, basically knows how to help build a winning organization. But, I don't think we should, but, if we do end up with a guy like Aaron Glenn, I'm not going to, I'm not going to riot. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm not going to watch this team this year and any of that nonsense. I'll respect it.
I see. Well, it sounds like Hector doesn't respect you, so you two got to work on that, all right?
Look, you know what? Look, Hector, you're listening. Sorry I flipped you. Look, let's just bury this hatchet, diaspora Rican to Puerto Rican. Because, look, as much as maybe I'm not born in Puerto Rico, I care for people in Puerto Rico. I care. And the diaspora has always cared about Puerto Rico. Even though we may not be born there, we're always willing to lend a hand when Puerto Rico needs help. I mean, the diaspora played a huge role during Hurricane Maria relief. So we're always there willing to help you, always willing to lend a helping hand. So we should just learn to respect each other. All right, Jake, are you going to come back on the camera?
I just wanted to make sure you said everything you needed to say. I was giving you the floor.
Thanks. But I think that about covers it. I don't know anyone in the diaspora who, I don't want to badmouth any other Puerto Ricans, I don't want to badmouth anybody. I don't like badmouthing anybody. I'm not a person who likes anger. I try to avoid negativity in my life, but obviously you can't avoid it all the time. You have to sometimes confront it. But like I said, I'm not a person who tries to piss people off.
E-Man is here. How we feeling?
Hi,
I thought V-Man made some salient points there. I really did. All right, I got more people still on hold. This show's 2 hours and 7 minutes already. And look, I try to be transparent on this show. All right? It has been a long show. But I am willing to stay on and continue the show. Because the show is the show. It must go on. But before the show can continue, I need to use the restroom. So stand by, and in the meantime, enjoy some Blitz BK.
Gotta change. Everything must change. Someday I know, oh yeah. I know you won't believe me, but darling, I love you so. And
back again, but it's been the same since '93. I feel the rain, feel the pain like I'm Joey B. I saw Coslick, Carroll, go tight, Billy P, Belichick outgrow, and I'm still a fan. No silly me. Many of us so silly we haven't seen a chip since our dads was in Little League. Now we literally dads with kids in Little League. Next playoff victory, tell me who the hell knows, it's a mystery. I lived through the fake spike, so I hate life. I saw quarterback legends and they failed twice. Legend has it, name is sold his soul, time to pay the price. Homie gotta know, time to take that flight. Gotta make this right. This is us against the gods, we can't win this fight. Gotta take what's ours, that just grip too tight. Against all odds, gotta rebuild this right, yeah.
everything must change. Someday I know, oh yeah. Everything must change. Someday I know, oh yeah. Everything must change. Someday I know, oh yeah. I know you won't believe, but darling, I love you.
made it back just in time. How about that? All right, more of your calls here before we wrap up another lengthy show. We're back this afternoon. Say hello to Philly Noodles, then AJ, and then a legend to wrap us up today. What's up, Philly?
What's going on, man?
How are you?
Pretty good. I want to say, when I didn't say yesterday, thank you, Boomtown, Rich, and Mr. Tom Ace for that number 10 rating. I appreciate it.
You deserve it. You had a great month.
Burger's flowing hair. Me and Burger at 10. That's pretty dope. All right, so I want to just real quick, V-Man versus Hector. That's like Big Pun versus Mark Anthony. He's too soft. It's hard. I feel bad for him because Hector's coming in with too much energy and he can't handle it. I'm Puerto Rican and it's weird. Like if you're not from there, at some point you do gotta like calm down a little bit because you're gonna see a real Puerto Rican, bro. They're gonna put you in your fucking place really fast. And my father's from Puerto Rico, and it's no joke over there. I have cousins that lived in the ghettos over there. It's pretty bad. But on my take, I want to say Berganzi and Nagy is I think a sleeper. If they're both going to be interviewed,
Here's the thing. Everyone always tries to connect the dots, but like that's not always how it works. Like not every team does what the Giants did with Shane and Dable coming over together. That's not always how that happens. Like let's not forget the Jets just threw Todd Bowles and Mike McCagnon in a room together and said, all right, you guys are running the show. They got dinner, and that's the only time they had ever really met. And they were both from New Jersey. That's how they were going to get along. Like that was the selling thing. So I understand what you're doing. I just don't think it's a guarantee to be two guys that have worked in the same organization at the same time together.
I feel like just because of Berganzi being with a winning organization as long as he has,
he's a good candidate. I like him.
Yeah, I think so, and I think he just would probably recommend Nagy. Not obviously not to say that that's the best option, but Flores and McCown is interesting. I think it's interesting. I mean, Flores as a head coach DC, and then I guess McCown as the OC, because I don't see McCown as a head coach. I think that's a little bit too much to ask for. You know what I mean? But Flores definitely as head coach. Because Vrabel's gone. We just have to live with that. And now I don't know if you saw Belichick might be asked to be joining the Raiders. That might become a thing now. He'll just leave North Carolina.
Yeah, I talked about it earlier.
But anyway.
I don't think he's leaving Carolina after taking that job. I think that'd be a terrible look for him to give a commitment to that school
so too,
and then drop him. But
I don't know, man. Brady's there, man. He might convince him. I don't know. We'll see.
I guess. I don't know. I'd be a little surprised if he's going to go back to the NFL. Let's say hello to AJ, who claims he's going to drop a Woj bomb. Hello, AJ.
Hey, Jake. I just have a reason for some optimism here for Jets fans. So I just want you to stick with me. This summer, I broadcasted in the Northwoods League. It's a summer collegiate wooden bat league. And we had a player by the name of Carter Vrabel, who was Mike Vrabel's son on our team. I was fortunate enough to broadcast a middle 3 innings of a game with Mike Vrabel as my color commentator. And now, granted, this is all the way back in July, and it was put much more coach speak than this. He had full respect for Robert Saleh, but I bluntly asked him, Mike, I'm a Jets fan. If Robert Saleh, for whatever reason, wasn't to be the guy next year, what are your thoughts on the opening? And he not only talked swimmingly about the job, but Mike Vrabel then off the air told me that that is an opening he would have a high interest in because he's a big fan of Aaron Rodgers. So am I going to rule out the potential of him going to the Jets just because he played for the Patriots? Absolutely not. I think that Mike Vrabel is still the best guy for the job, and I think that all signs indicate that he has had the most successful interview with our team so far. Yes, he played for New England before, but I think that what a lot of people are overlooking is some of the good that comes with this Jets position, right? Obviously, you don't have Drake May, you don't have the money to spend, but there's just a lot more pieces in place. And I feel like a culture builder like Mike Vrabel, especially as someone who sat down and talked to him face to face myself, would feel like this is the kind of locker room he could come in, instill an immediate change, and really flip the script on this team pretty much overnight, Jake.
So a couple things. One, AJ, you definitely have a future in play-by-play. Your voice is outstanding. Just talking to
I
you here,
appreciate
I can tell.
it.
Two, I have continuously brought up that just because I think it's likely he ends up going to New England, that it's not a lock, because what the Jets have that New England can't is a better roster, and Mike Vrabel's on the record telling people that he wants to be aligned with the GM. Well, he, in theory, would basically get to pick the GM I feel like he wanted to work with if he came to the Jets. So I think that matters to him a lot. And I don't know how he feels about Elliott Wolf. And like, sure, he's got the relationship with Robert Kraft, but I don't know if that automatically means he's going to go there. And how do we know the Patriots don't hire Ben Johnson? They want an offensive guy for Drake May, and all of a sudden Mike Vrabel is out there. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion they can't get him. And I've been saying that since Sunday when we found out Mayo got hired. If I had to guess, I think he goes to New England, but I don't think it's a lock as everyone else has seemed to make it. So that's good insight that you got to speak with him. That's very cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. And, I think something else that needs to be noted, you mentioned the relationship with the Crafts. Gerard Mayo had the same thing. He's in that team's Hall of Fame, soon to be in the Ring of Honor. I mean, in my opinion, I just don't see how that's getting overlooked throughout this cycle, right? They had the opportunity to interview Mike Vrabel last year, still went with Mayo because that plan was in place. I understand that he's the odds-on favorite to be the coach in New England, but what I am also going to say is, as you mentioned, with a quarterback like Drake May, it would not shock me if the Patriots wanted to go in a different direction, and it also wouldn't shock me if more than the media is letting on, Mike Vrabel's open to going a different direction. So all I'm saying is don't rule that out. I'm still a fan of Vrabel, and I think he is the man most fit for the job. I think that it's he's in a tier all in his own, right? All at the top. After that, I think that then there's kind of a little bit more of murky waters. You can argue different directions for who you'd want to go with. But I remember this time in the cycle 4 years ago, Jets fans were convinced that our buddy Robert Saleh wouldn't want to come here because he was some coveted asset and he would have his pick of the litter. And sure enough, he ended up with the Jets. Now, we know how that ended up going, but I think that a lot of times we let the media and folks from outside the building try to depict what we think about what's going on in there. And just as someone who has Mike Vrabel's phone number in my contacts, I'll leave it at that. I would not rule out the chance that he's the head coach of the New York Jets.
I agree. And I look at it like this. The idea that anything's been decided, like, I don't know. I'm not buying that necessarily.
He hasn't even interviewed in New England yet.
Money talks too. Like the Jets pay coaches. They pay him a lot. Robert Kraft's known to be cheap, and he's now has to pay Mayo and his contract and the staff that he would then have to fire and replace with a new staff. I played a video from a Patriots reporter on this show the other day. That's like an $80 million, like, fix your mistake after 1 year. And look, they already fired Mayo, so they're showing the willingness to try and, quote unquote, fix that mistake. But I agree. I think Vrabel is not a foregone conclusion to not be this team's coach, and I'd love it. And I do think, by the way, if it is Vrabel, Rodgers is the quarterback next year because Rodgers has a relationship with the guy. We know Vrabel told you what he told you. I think if Mike Vrabel's the Jet coach, Rodgers is the quarterback for another year.
Yeah, I'd completely concur with that. That's something Jets fans will have to come to terms with if
right
ink is
move.
put to paper. It is the right move. I think that that's something that a lot of Jets fans are having a hard time stomaching. Obviously, this year didn't go to plan, but I think that what I tend to ask Jets fans to at least sit and ponder with for a couple of moments is if we're all in agreement that Jeff Ulbrich was this terrible interim head coach and that Robert Saleh had 4 years plus some change of losing football, how much of that really falls on the shoulders of a quarterback fresh off an Achilles injury who was really thrown into the fire this season? And I understand that a lot of people are going to want to go in a different direction, but I think that what I'm seeing here, reading between the lines, a lot of the coaches who seem to be front runners and interested in this job, I think that goes hand in hand with them wanting to work with Aaron Rodgers for his final season.
I think that's definitely part of it. All right, 2 quick hitters for you. One,
all right.
How was Mike Vrabel as an analyst for a baseball broadcast?
Amazing. I'm only 20 years old. He offered me on air. He won the 50-50 raffle, wanted to buy me a case of beer, so we got a good laugh out of that.
That's awesome.
Just a great human being, by the way. Like, that's the kind of person that I would want in the locker room week by week to play for as a former player myself. Like, that is the kind of coach that I would buy into anything he says. Just the way he talks, the way he carries himself, definitely the guy for the job.
And was his son a good baseball player?
I'll say yes.
All right.
Carter Vrabel, typically hitting our 8 or 9 spot, but he played a really clean, hot corner over at third, and no, didn't have the finish we wanted this summer. Couldn't break into the postseason for another season, but great guy, very generous, and yeah, it was awesome that he was able to set that up for me to sit down with his father. So I'll always be bestowed to him for that.
All right, AJ, you're a broadcaster. What's the background? Are you in school right now? You said you're 20, so I'm guessing you're in college. I mean, you're going to be a big star, it sounds like. Well, let's hear the resume.
Yeah, so I'm currently a junior at Ball State University here in Muncie, Indiana.
They have a good broadcasting program.
Number 1 in the world, baby. So that's why I'm here. A couple summers ago, I worked in North Dakota for the Minot Hot Tots, a baseball team up there. And then last summer, I was in Mankato working for the Moondogs as well as the Habaneros. So still working my way up through the intern path. I'm sure you know, as a radio personality, you just got to break your way into the field. But I have full confidence, and I'm here for the ride. So I appreciate you letting me talk to you, Jake.
So is play-by-play the goal for you? It sounds like it is based on your experience, but have you thought about any other, any other forms in sports media, talk show hosting, updates, TV? Your thoughts on that?
I'm open to all of it. I really think that my end goal is just to be an on-air personality. So whether that be through play-by-play, a radio show, really whatever the opening is, just with a good community of fans who are passionate about their team, preferably covering my New York Jets at some point in time. But wherever the path may take me, I'm just looking forward to the ride.
I like it. All right. So you're open to anything. Now, have you done play-by-play for other sports besides baseball?
Yes, I've done play-by-play for 12 different sports, 8 different sports with ESPN.
Wow. Okay. So I could see you one day being the next Bob Wischusen calling Jets.
Hey, that's the dream. Big game Bob right there. I'm one of the crazy lunatics who chooses to watch the game on TV with his call side by side. I guess that's kind of a play-by-play giveaway that I care about that kind of thing. But I love Bob Wischusen. He does a great job. So that is the dream right there, Jake.
I love it. Well, you got to call him more, AJ. I don't know if have you called before. I don't recognize your face.
Well,
as a caller.
the last time I called was April in 2024 when I was on the Brock Bowers hype train. So it's been a long time, and I know that that's not a opinion that can really be stated anymore without people going jab for jab. I'm not one to really care all that much. Olu was a great pick, and I'm happy that we have our cornerstone at left tackle. But yeah, it's been a long time, and I look forward to calling in throughout the offseason. I think it'll be interesting to see the direction the franchise heads.
All right, I'm seeing some requests here from people in the chat. The Asmaniacs want you to give a little sample play-by-play. That's No Ghost says, have them do. That's a Jet touchdown. Hawk writes in, Garrett down the sideline, something. So give us any Jet play-by-play call you want. Go ahead.
All right. It may be a little tough without a play right in front of me, but I'm just going to do it for the listeners, for all the Asmaniacs. Let's combine those two together. So 2nd down and 8, Aaron Rodgers in the shotgun. He'll motion Garrett Wilson across the formation, left to right, and he's down the sideline. Garrett Wilson wide open, 25-20. No one's going to get to him. It's a Jet touchdown. Call it a 21-0 lead over the Buffalo Bills.
Wow, AJ, well done. Well done. I am impressed. I'll tell you what, we might need a play-by-play announcer at some point. Charles Gorman's headed to the strip club in the near future. We'd like you to come on and maybe commentate what you see happening in real time if you're up for it.
I'd happily do that, Jake. Sign me up.
Ladies and gentlemen, our new Asmaniac play-by-play voice, AJ, on the line. AJ, great job, man. Appreciate you calling in.
Thank you. Jet up, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
There we go. AJ's a natural. Love it. Let me tell you something. If you're trying to do play-by-play and you're willing to go to North Dakota, you're willing to go to Mankato, you're willing to go to all these different, collegiate leagues that are out there. I know Cape Cod has a big league every year. That's the real deal. Put it in that work. It ain't easy. All right. The new Knicks announcer, Tyler Murray, Guy called every sport ever before he finally got his big break on Knicks radio now. So the play-by-play path, I did it in college. I sucked at it. I was good for college, but I knew I would never be good at it as a professional. It is hard, man. Being able to memorize name without having to look down and just boom, being able to call it, especially if you do hockey. How do you remember names that quick without looking down? And then if you look down, you miss what happens because it's too fast. So major respect to anyone doing play-by-play, especially on the radio. It is really hard. Good call by AJ, man. Tell you what, AJ becomes a regular. Welcome to March. Hit that like button, comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. We got time for one last call. And when it comes to guys who could do damage in March, this guy might be the number one example.
It's Chiefs fan. Guess what? I'm still looking for a job, bitches. It's Chiefs fan. I'm just going to rub my hands together all day. It's Chiefs fan. There's a whole lot of DNA on this couch. Let's hear it for Chiefs fan. Look, it's my dead neighbor that I didn't kill.
Gator, you just freaking smile to my face every day. You're an angel in the skies. So they let me go after yesterday, and I don't give a damn.
You got fired?
Yeah, because of the racist troll. I'm like, we're letting you go. I'm like, okay, so you're gonna side with the troll? I told them to go fuck themselves.
So your explosion yesterday, as I add the number 3 to your name sheets, fan, after you came in third in the rankings this past month.
Number 3 ain't bad.
Explain what happened for those who missed it. So you got a new job.
So I got a new job for transferring calls for Healthline, medical Healthline, suicide, whatever the hell it was. And I got this racist Karen calling and dropping the N-word. And then I got her son coming and dropping the N-word. And I went toe to toe for son saying shit. So
all right, so let's focus now on the now. Let's not focus on the past. You've been let go from the suicide hotline job. What do we do now, Cheats fan?
I'm just gonna go. We're gonna get snow for the next 3 days, so I'm just gonna see if I can shovel snow. Like, I'm just gonna go back to manual labor, even though my back hurts. Like, I don't put up with that racist shit. Also, it's gonna be -5 here tonight, so that's perfect weather for snow, lots of snow.
So do you have a plan in place? Do you know people that you could be compensated for your services in the manual labor? If you're shoveling if you're shoveling snow, are you working for a snow shoveling company, or are you just going to go door to door and say, hey, here's my rate, I'll shovel your driveway for you?
Either way, I'll do either way. I knew that thing wasn't going to last because they told me before they put me on, I'm like, this place gets a lot of trolls. And I'm like, oh, depending on what they say, I'm going to just snap on them. I'm like, I basically told them when they let me go today, I'm like, so you're gonna let me not get the Homer Simpson chokehold on him, like it does Bart? I'm like, okay, then go fuck yourself.
Matt says Jake, hire him to screen calls for the show. He has experience. I'm actually the call screener myself for the show. Matt, so.
I rather have Jake screen calls because one screw up, I don't want to ruin a relationship with Jake.
Yeah. No, I have faith in you, Chiefs fan. It's just the way the StreamYard is kind of set up.
Oh, no. You might have someone who looks perfectly normal, and then they just show scat, gore, or just say the N-word constantly, and there goes your channel.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that, but sure. Absolutely.
Well, I used to mod online for marbles on stream for Twitch streams for song requests, and the amount of troll songs I would see, the amount of stuff that would make me lose my appetite during COVID.
Now, a couple of people have brought this up, Chiefs fan. We know you're in the market for a job. The Jets right now are currently hiring for head coach and GM. Any interest?
No, I would not. If I was the GM, I would probably do something to piss all you guys off. But I would try to make a play for a QB that I don't know if you guys are happy, but I'll try to make Justin Fields the main QB because I believe in him. I believe Fields could carry off for a few years while you get the rookie ready. But as I'm seeing it now, I was reading the Jets article about them letting Rodgers go, and then immediately after I read the article, someone was talking about Rodgers going to Titans. AI is getting pretty smart. They just sent me a ad for on Google for Rodgers going to the Titans.
Interesting.
So AI is getting really smart.
Hawk writes in, Cheats fan, enough of this. Tell the chat what we want to know. He's speculating that you've eaten bodies. Would you like to put an end to this narrative?
No, I don't do that. I don't do none of that, Hawk.
I think Hawk's the one that eats bodies. He's a hawk.
Yeah. Pretty much like buzzards and hawks eat whatever scraps they can get.
Also, Ian notes that you're an ally of the Jewish community, which we learned yesterday.
Yeah, I've been one for the longest time. I went to reforming school for my ways.
Have you been bar mitzvah, Cheats fan?
Oh no, I did not want to choose a religion.
Give me a little Baruch Atah Adonai.
I'm good. I did not want to choose a religion because in Chicago during that time there was a lot of anti-Semitic attacks, and I was bullied for going in there during my teenage and 18 years old and 20 years old.
Mike wants to know what your favorite community to be an ally for is.
Favorite community to be an ally for? You guys, both mainly, because you guys go through so much shit every year. So I'm
you're an ally to the Jet community, is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically, I'm like, I still had hope when you guys were 4-7 or 4-8 and whatever. I still had hope, and then whenever you face the Steelers, I'm like, there's still hope for the season. And then that second half, I'm like, oh shit, this is how it feels to be a Jets fan.
Now, if I sent you a Jake Asman show yarmulke, would you put it on?
I would. In respect for them. I'm just glad to be in a show this morning. I was gonna sleep in, but I got the call because I knew my job was screwed.
Kyle Clifton says, I'm in NYJ GM job if the AC is top notch.
Oh yeah, AC's got to be good. I'm a type of person who used to let my window be open during the winter, but the winters have been more and more cruel during January, so I have to keep my windows closed. That's what my uncle would always get on my ass. You had the window open when we had the heat on. When I was
Alan
up north.
writes in, my rabbi wife would gladly convert you to Judaism, Cheats fan.
I might take you up on that offer. Just depends how this next 3 years go in this world, because it's getting bad. Not to bring up war stuff, but I'm just looking at it every single day. More and more innocent people are dropping like flies, and I just don't like that. But
Ian says, Charles Gorman and Cheats fan championship in March. Do you think you and Gorman could potentially go head to head in March?
I could go, and I'm the type of person, even if I make it to the championship and lose, I'm like, we're just here for the ride.
That'd be some matchup.
I have a feeling even if I make it to the finals, people are just gonna vote for the Jet fan, so it's fine.
I don't know about that. I think if you matched up with Gorman, all bets are off.
True.
I'm telling you.
But I'll be happy to make the Final Four or Elite Eight. I'm that type of guy. I'm like, I want to do better than my Mizzou team because my Mizzou team's ass at basketball. Sorry for the language. I'm like, we got a good football.
I could see it. You have the skill set, Cheats fan. You have the likability, the passion, the storytelling, the entertainment. You're everything that an Asmaniac Madness champion could be. I see it.
Thank you. Mizzou's been so bad that I'm like, my friend's a big fan of Purdue, so I'm like, I'm backing Purdue when they play if they make it into the bracket. I have a friend that's a Purdue fan, and then my friend Daniel is a Michigan State fan, not a Wolverine fan.
Pittsburgh Mike wants to know, what's the update on the dead guy in your neighborhood?
I don't know. That's a good one, though. Probably not a lot of dead guys, though, because like everyone's been inside lately because of the cold and all that. We're getting another 7 inches of snow over the weekend, and we got like 12 inches of snow in 2 days and 4-foot snowdrifts and all that over here. And where I used to go play Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, and Pokemon, they had 8-foot snowdrifts when they were clearing out the parking lot, and a shit ton of ice. The ice was so bad enough that a little piece of steel chipped off. You know, that bucket that they go in. They let the ice get so bad, a little piece of that, like the tooth, fell off. And they sent me pictures of that because they know how much I like the construction business and all that stuff. Like as a kid, I grew up and I used to collect those cat vehicles. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
And then when I had a fallout with my parents, they sold all those when I was a teenager. So I had way too many fallouts with them. And they want to start speaking to me again. I'm like, why? So you can ruin the relationship again? Put me through so much stress. I'm like, I'm more stress-free not talking to my adopted side of my family. Like, you know the parts of family that always stresses you out and says dumb shit you don't want to be around, and you finally can be free from them. I'm happy to be free from them. Even though only
real quick, Cheats fan. This one's from Nick Shine. I don't think this happened, but we'll get you on the record here. Was Rob from Glenhead the person that called you that ultimately led to your firing?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
Nah. It was one of the people who I see for therapy for human support system, and he was pissed until I explained the situation because they lied to him how I got fired, and he's like, "Oh, that's okay then." He basically, his boss walked in. He's like, "Fuck him," and his boss is like, "You can't use that language." I'm like, "Excuse me." It's like, "Oh, it's you." I'm like, "Yeah, he can say whatever the fuck he wants." I said that to his boss. He's like,
any thoughts on Beastbreaker, Cheats fan? While I have you here,
he just I don't want to cause beef with him, but he just needs to learn to respect people. I'm like, that's one thing I learned. I
thought he was great today. I thought he was outstanding.
Oh no, like he's great, but like down the line, you're gonna have to learn to respect people. Like, let people talk. Don't talk over them. Like, I got my ass kicked a lot for doing that in the hood, trying to stick my nose into other people's business and all that other stuff and beefing with others.
What did you think of the Charles Gorman revelation today that he bites asses?
I basically said, "Eat ass, yo," in chat.
Thank you for your take on that.
I mean, all the ass eating memes that came out of us millennials, so we gotta enjoy that. Especially the Nicki Minaj ass eating memes that we grew up with in Chicago.
Well,
And all
fan,
the stuff. Yep.
Thank you for your presence as always. And let's get you back shoveling some driveways. Let's get some cash in the Cheats fan pocket.
All I gotta say is one thing. I really, really hope you get Mike Vrabel, because as a family, I have too many Patriots fans on the East Coast, and just to see them more salty. And then let me just say this. I'm gunning to go to a Jets game during the regular season, so it's going to be more fun. And I want to go to the place where they serve those giant slices of pizza and put the ricotta and the honey on there.
Sure.
I would like to go to one of those places if I visit you guys, because that's one. Like, I did that in Chicago. I felt like I put on 5 pounds, but I'm like eating a giant slice of pepperoni cheese pizza with the ricotta and the hot honey sauce on there, and then the chili flakes for an extra kick. That sounds so good.
I'll tell you what, Chiefs fan, you said a lot today, and we're sorry to hear about the latest job dismissal.
It's fine if they want to be non-politically correct and let me go. They can kiss my ass.
Amen.
Or they could eat ass like Charles Gorman does.
It's well said. We'll put that on a T-shirt as well. Now, before you go, give me a shovel. All right, we're getting you hyped up here. Give me one of these. All right.
Shovel. Pretty much, I'm doing the shoveling that they did on the Scooby-Doo cartoon. Like, I grew up on a shit ton of pup named Scooby Doo and Scooby Doo. Like one of my favorite one was the miner ghost episode, or the episode where they're in the mines and that ghost with the skeleton comes out.
Guess what? I'm still looking for a job, bitches. I'm just going to rub my hands together all day. There's a whole lot of DNA on this couch. Let's hear it for Chiefs fan. Look, it's my dead neighbor that I didn't kill.
Look, the intro now is accurate again. He's still looking for a job, bitches. And he'll find one soon. He's Chiefs fan. The guy has had more jobs than anyone ever. Dan, I appreciate your super chat, but Chiefs fan has already put to bed the alleged murder accusations, so I'm not going to dignify your comment and bring it up on the screen, but I do see it. Ian with a great callback here, Jet fans. That's a James E. Hedable celebration. That's right. Diggs. Digging the graves. I love it. All right, what a show. 2 hours and 40 minutes. We're back later today. I don't have a guest for later today because the guest called in early today, Jeff Parles. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching. We'll be back in probably the 4 o'clock hour-ish. So be on the lookout for another show. Thank you to Roan for sponsoring. Get this shirt I'm wearing if you're a basketball fan. The new Roan NBA commuter line is out. All the info's in the description. Code, how you can save money, all that. Thank you to Roan again. Code Asman at Roan.com. You'll get 20% off. All right. Thank you all for your support. My name is Jake Asman. And since we're trying to manifest Mike Vrabel still, we'll give you this at the buzzer. Go, Jeff.
Would you cut your dick off for a Super Bowl?
Oh, been married 20 years. Yeah, probably.
You've got 3
as a player.